All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Close. We are live. I'm sorry I'm a little late, but we are good to go. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Obviously, it's been a pretty rough day in the stock market, to say the least. We've had a little bit of a V bounce since the very lows. So S&P 500 is down. It's not down as bad as it was during the middle of the day. We're at 667. We got all the way down to 663, which is why a lot of names ended up recovering just a little bit. And then we got Tesla earnings. We got Tesla earnings in 12 minutes. We're going to see what happens with Tesla. We're going to talk about why the market took a little bit of a dump today. And I need someone to help me out. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jose.
What's going on, man? How's everything?
It's going good. It's been quite a fun day in the markets, to say the least. First question for you. Did you buy any dip today?
Did I buy? I saw the puts on NBIS. That's pretty much it. But haven't really purchased any pure stock. Yeah, not just yet. If this is the turnaround, I'm happy. If it's not, I'm also happy with the little things I did.
Okay, so I went shopping. I went shopping. That's what I did. These are little nibbles, but these are the prices. Palantir 172.38. I bought Palantir 171 like 3 weeks ago, so I'm like, all right, it's $1 up. NVIDIA 177.5. I've not touched NVIDIA since 150, since 159. So this is the first time for NVIDIA. SoFi, I finished the 500 shares that I said I was going to buy, and if I didn't, people would have killed me. 26.88. That's the average on SoFi. And then, of course, we had to do Grabby Grab. So 555 on Grabby Grab. So little nibbles across the board. We got to extreme fear. So at that point, I was just like, all right, it probably is worth at least nibbling a bit. I don't know if we're out of the woods. I don't know how this is going to change. We did get a V shape towards like basically the last 50 minutes. And now we are just at fear or on the edge of extreme fear, but it's not as bad as it was before. Now, what is the reason for why this is happening? And then we're going to get into Tesla. I didn't see a ton of reasons today. I did get one headline that could be kind of the main argument. This was a Reuters report that came out around 12:30. Trump administration considering a plan to restrict globally produced exports to China made with or containing U.S. software. New export controls could curb exports on wide range of goods to China. It seems like that was the core argument, that anything that's created with U.S. software in terms of globally produced goods and services, which I think is a lot of stuff created with U.S. software, that would have an export control. Now, obviously, this is a very aggressive export control, and the whole idea is to go against China's export controls against rare earth minerals. We're going to see what happens. Trump also tweeted that he is going to be tariffing cattle from Brazil for 50%. I don't know if that really tanked the market, but that definitely added fuel to the fire after that China export control rumor that Reuters put out. And so I think you put those two together, along with just a general choppy October that we're dealing with. That's why you had a little bit of a drawdown, and that's some of the pain that I think we're experiencing today.
And it's crazy. I think I was on here. I don't know if it was Thursday or Friday last week. I forget what day it was, but it was late last week. And I was telling you how I was feeling unease of the market.
Yes.
It's crazy to feel that my portfolio obviously is taking quite a hit in the past few days, but like I feel so much better now. It's like a big lift has been lifted or some, I mean, it's obviously sucks, but I feel a little bit more excited about the market now.
Well, I 1000% agree, and I would love people in the chat to kind of give their perspective on this as well. I think that some of these names, like an Oklo, that's still down 15% on a day, like a D-Wave that is down 14% on a day, a lot of these names down about 30 to 40% for the week. At the end of the day, they needed to get flushed out. They needed to get flushed out. It was not healthy to see rare earth mineral stocks just go to the moon, all of them down 7 to 8% on the day. And I think it actually gives us a really good leg up or a really good opportunity to take the next leg up if we could have really good earnings. It's just a question of, can we get some good earnings? And today we're going to see with Tesla. Before we talk about Tesla, one last thing I want to say is some of these momentum stocks, again, they don't have any fundamentals. A lot of them don't even take shareholder questions. So Google, if it has a couple bad months, they can have a blowout quarter, things change. These momentum names, and the worst part about this drawdown is that if they don't have anything to report on earnings is not going to save them. In fact, a company like VRT that beat earnings by 20% had phenomenal earnings. This stock is barely green on the day. So if stocks that can't even go green on good earnings, I can only imagine what would happen to some of those names that have nothing to say. And then the other sort of structural analysis around this is that if momentum dies out and people don't want to be left holding the bag, who's left. By the way, speaking of holding a bag, Beyond Meat, this was $7.50 in the morning.
That's
back down to $3.50. Jose, any thoughts on the vegans of the world taking over?
No, I mean, it's crazy when you see some of these stocks up 100%. I mean, congrats to those that are able to make the bucks or trade with it. But it definitely sucks for the back holders that try to play this game, which is pretty intense. And it's why I typically don't play it. I'm not a fan of losing money, and usually I'm bad at timing things. So I would probably be the worst trader ever.
Yes. I think maturing is realizing that if you miss the timing on the entry, then you probably shouldn't be chasing it, because not that many good things can happen when it goes that route. All right. Pump or dump poll is live in the chat for Tesla. We got 7 minutes until we get the numbers. I mean, Jose, give me your raw thoughts. Tesla's an important company in the world of AI. What do you think we can expect?
I mean, I definitely love to hear when Elon or the team talks a little bit more about the AI innovations. I saw one of the comments come in through with AI. I think it was even directed towards me. It was like, well, is Tesla really an AI company? I really do believe it is. I mean, it's definitely, FSD is the greatest thing ever. I mean, every time I drive, I turn that baby on. The new version just continues to kill it. I mean, they have their own semiconductor team to develop their own chips. They build massive data centers within the, obviously, independently for XAI, but for their own platforms. They also kind of build their own form of AI infrastructure as well. So, I mean, I could care less about the cars. Obviously, the numbers right now is all about the cars, but I want to hear more from Elon about what's happening here in the AI space, what's happening here in the energy space. Obviously, with their energy revenue, we can get some sentiment of how that's progressing.
Yeah, I agree. It's not about the auto business anymore. Obviously, it's about what's going to happen with everything else going on in the world of Tesla. Tesla right here, as you can see, 56 cents EPS expected. That would still be down, if I'm not wrong, about 15 to 20% year over year. And then revenue, 26.7 billion. So again, the street's not super optimistic on the quality of numbers in terms of the year over year growth rates. But they are thinking that, maybe if Tesla can beat these numbers, then those expectations would not be that bad. Here's the question to the audience. Tesla right there at 439. Well, let's actually do this. I usually do this every earnings. Do you own Tesla? And if you want to disclose how many shares, your average, you can just put it in the chat. We'll highlight some of the people that are in here. I know there's probably some Tesla OGs that are in the chat, but I mean, what do people think is going to be the metric that either dumps the stock or pumps the stock? Is it going to be something Elon says that pumps it? Or is it going to be something that, Tesla really misses on badly, theoretically, that could dump it? I'd be very curious to see what a lot of people think. By the way, in my chat, 57% of people say dump. So we got a decent amount of people that are not that excited about it. Jose, if you had to guess pump or dump, I mean, what side would you lean on towards?
I don't know. Again, I'm always wrong, but I'm gonna say here, I'm feeling like a little pump here on Tesla for earnings.
You're just trying to get the crowd on your side. You're just trying to get the crowd on your side.
I don't know. No, because I don't know if I just jinxed it. So they're gonna hate me. But I mean, for one thing that I do find interesting, kind of going back to the core business, is one thing that they've talked about in prior quarters was that they were going to release a cheaper model in form of to have more accessible to more customers, and they did do that this quarter. Yep. Actually, I don't know if it was a part of this quarter, but they did at least release it in the past few weeks. And my question, I wonder if an analyst is going to answer this, is this actually a real product? Obviously, it's a real product, so they have it there. But is it a product that is just meant to make shareholders happy, to say, look, we did it? Or do they have an actual market opportunity with this, as it's about $5,000 cheaper, but you're losing off so many things? So I don't think they're going to just say, it's just to make the shareholders happy. But I wonder if some analysts are going to put some pressure of like, are you really seeing demand for that standard version? Or was it just something because you promised a cheaper model?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were a bit disappointed, including myself, with how the rollout of that cheaper model came out, because it just wasn't that much cheaper. But maybe Elon can give some clarity there, and that could change a lot of these perspectives. By the way, folks, I mean, I thought it would be a crappy day for Tesla to report. It's kind of turning into an okay day. Look at SoFi, 26 to 27. S&P only down 0.5%. It was down 1.5 at the worst. NVIDIA, 176 to 180. Tesla got to 429, now 439. Palantir, 171 to 175. Hoodie, 120 it touched to 127. You got Grab from 540 to 561. Meta's basically flat on the day. Amazon still down 217.97. Salesforce down a little bit. But it looks like the algos are getting back to be a bit more optimistic. And again, I do think it was more algorithmic when we saw the drawdown intraday, because there just didn't seem to be that much of a fundamental reason. If we can get some good earnings, starting with Tesla, that could definitely help. We also have Lam Research in the semiconductor space. We have IBM. IBM's been working on quantum computing. Google announced a breakthrough on quantum computers today. Elon actually responded to what Sundar said about their breakthrough on their quantum algorithm. And Elon said, congrats, look like quantum computing is becoming relevant. So you got Elon and Sundar that are theoretically bullish quantum. The quantum stocks really didn't take off on these comments because they're just still getting hit from the momentum drawdown. But you do have some catalysts right here getting the market excited. Then you have Kinder Morgan, you have Crown Castle, SAP in the software world, and then obviously you have Tesla. And we're going to see what happens there. So there we go.
Yeah, Lam Research will be pretty interesting. I mean, we already had ASML report earnings, which is in the equipment space, so similar to Lam Research in forms of overall market. And TSM kind of already mentioned that they were going to see increasement in their bottom range of capital expenditure. So Lam Research definitely helps a little bit more in advanced packaging and in the memory space, which is dealing with HBM. So I'm excited there. I don't own it, but I'm hoping for a great call from Lam Research there.
Okay, here we go. Buckle up. We got a bunch of earnings. I think the call's at 5:30. So we got about an hour and a half to dissect all these results, get as much analysis as we can. The deck's probably going to come out in 15 minutes. And the results might come out at like 4:05, so we might have to wait 5 minutes. But we're going to see how this ends up playing out. It's crazy because today's been a wild day across the board. Triple V, thank you for the $200 super chat. Thank you for being here. And it doesn't even feel like it's Tesla earnings day because of the ups and downs of the market and how just volatile and gut-wrenching it's been up or down. But it is Tesla earnings, and Tesla earnings will officially be starting off big tech earnings for Q3. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Wednesday, October 22nd, 4 p.m. The stock market is now closed. All right, we are done for the day. We are done for the day, at least for the regular hours. And now we get to see what happens with these results. Tesla ends the day at 438, down about 1%. NVIDIA, I mean, basically a nothing burger, barely down 0.5% on the day. Palantir was down 3%, Hoodie down 3.5%. A lot of these names, they all went down together, and then they came back up together at the same time. AMD from 224 to 230, SoFi 27 on the close. Grab actually got a 560 close, not too bad for Grab. Google right there, 251. Reddit was down about 4% on the day. Amazon down 1.9. Meta ended up flat on the day. CoreWeave 2.7. Nebius did get all the way to 94, rebounded above 98 right there. So still closed down 5% of the day, but did get that $98 close. Open Door down about 2.7% on the day. Iren did fall to the low 50s, back up to 51.75. Actually fell below 50 at 48.30. You had all your Bitcoin miners turned data center stocks that also got hit throughout the day. Cypher down about 10%. Again, a lot of those momentum names took a big hit, with your Oklo down 14% and D-Wave down 15%. But nonetheless, you do have the broader S&P that was down 0.5%, which is manageable. All right, Tesla 439. So we should be getting results in about literally a couple minutes, maybe less. As soon as we get the results, we're going to see what we got, and we will go from there. You can put in the chat how much you were down on the day. The day ended for me down about 116, so still a pretty ugly day. It was worse than that in the middle of the day. But we got a little bit more of a recovery. Tesla's earnings should be out latest 4:05. We should be getting those numbers pretty soon. And then we're going to see what we got. June said 133. Laura said 72. Jake said 13. Yeah, it was worse in the middle of the day.
And are you looking for anything here in Tesla? Is there anything that's really gonna?
I think the stock moving from 330 to 430, even I didn't expect that, and I think that was because of the Elon compensation package and him buying $1 billion worth of stock. So I really don't know what the company is going to say to like get the stock to be that excited. So I don't know. I really don't know, but I do think I don't think they have to go down. I just don't think they have to go to the moon either. And
you think we hear anything about Optimus or the robotics platform, or it's still too far for your thoughts?
I think Elon's going to talk about it. I just don't think there's going to be anything substantial in terms of like real results, right? And so, and if there is, I think that's the wild card. I think people get really excited. If not, then I don't know what we're going to see.
I don't know if it was this quarter where we saw a few articles that the numbers that they promised were actually are actually going to be a lot lower. So I wonder if that comes out during the Q&A session where some of the I think they mentioned somewhere around 1,000 in the first year, and some reports came out that it was going to be much lower than that.
For Optimus, right?
Yep.
Well, Elon said he would do 1 million by like 2030. So I mean, like, it's just a lot of ambitious targets. Right? I want him to announce Walmart ordered 100,000 robots. You know, if Amazon just put out a report yesterday saying they're thinking of getting rid of 600,000 humans for robots, then theoretically the demand should be there from a Walmart or a FedEx. Or like Elon should be able to get somewhat of an agreement, even if it's not real revenue yet, and make it material. But you know, that's what I think would actually get the street to put it into their valuation models. Don't have numbers yet. We are going red. We were going green for a little bit. It's basically flat, 437. 437. It was at 442. The other companies, I don't have any earnings on those companies either. Oh, no, I got it. Tesla.
Seems to post that. Yep.
Oh, they missed. Missed by 11% on EPS. 50 cents versus 56 cents expected. So that is a miss. Revenue, they beat. Revenue, they beat by 5%. A miss and a beat. A miss and a beat. Wow. They actually missed on EPS. I mean, even last time they had a little bit better of a, I think they only missed by 2%. This time 11%. 50 cents versus 56 cents. 28.09 billion versus 26.7. So you do have a basically $1.3 billion beat. EPS is down 31% year over year. No earnings growth. Negative earnings growth. Revenue at least is up 12%. So you do have some revenue growth, but EPS is down. The stock goes red. 431.
See, I told you I jinxed it. This quarter still had all the credits though, right? For
yes.
Electric vehicles. So now it's going to be, how does that change the, I guess, outlook for the upcoming quarters for this?
To be fair though, it's down 1.3%. Like, I mean, it's not even kind of aggressive, right? And this is kind of what I've been predicting for the past couple of days, that it doesn't have to go down a lot, but it doesn't have to go up a lot. I think every Tesla shareholder should be really happy if it just doesn't tank, because one could argue there might not have been a reason for it to go up as much as it did over the past couple of weeks. And as you can see on the stock, you're not really getting a move up or down. Maybe guidance pumps it. We're going to wait for the deck. The deck should be out in a second, and then we'll go through all the numbers. But outside of guidance or Elon saying something good, I didn't expect them to miss EPS. I thought they would come in line on EPS, but there you go. Let's get the results right here. This is what we've got on Tesla.
Morgan, it is a beat on the top line and a miss on the bottom line for Tesla. The company bringing in revenue better than expected, $28.1 billion. The street was expecting $26.36 billion, but EPS comes in at 50 cents a share. 50 cents a share. The street was expecting 55 cents a share. So not a huge miss, but it is a miss nonetheless. We're going to go back through the numbers, guys. Hopefully we'll get some more details in terms of future plans, future obligations, and the kind of concrete details that investors are looking for when it comes to things like robotaxi, autonomous vehicle development, et cetera. We'll let you know when we come across some of those nuggets that are worth flashing.
All right, Phil, thank you. We'll be back to you. Shares are down about 1% right now. Barb, want to get your reaction to this, especially since Tesla is not necessarily a name that trades on the fundamentals here.
No, it doesn't. I mean, 80% of their revenues are from autos, and yet it's at a 250 plus PE on forward earnings. And it's really on the hook.
All right, let's get into some of these numbers. So this is what we've got on Tesla. Third quarter revenue, 28.1 versus 26.6. EPS 50 cents. Free cash flow 3.9 versus 1.25 billion. So they did beat on free cash flow. Gross margin 18% versus 17.2. They did beat on those gross margins. That is actually way better than I thought. Operating income 1.62 versus 1.65. They missed on operating income, probably why they missed on net income as well. And then overall EPS, again, was lower than expected for Tessie. So they beat on margins, missed on operating income. They beat on free cash flow by a large amount. The credits might be helping their free cash flow. And
that's what I saw. I mean, massive free cash flow, year over year growth and sequential growth. would have, because the slideshow, the deck is up, but that was something that really shocked me there.
Okay, let's pull up the deck and let's pull this out. Okay, so let's first of all read their letter, their small summary, and then we'll keep going from there. Okay, here we go. In Q3, the Tesla team achieved record vehicle deliveries globally, showing strength and growth across all regions, while also achieving record energy storage deployments across the residential, industry, and utility sectors. The strong performance resulted in both record revenue and free cash flow generation in the quarter. We continue to launch new products that excite our customers across automotive and energy. We launched the Model YL and Model Y Performance and further expanded our vehicle offering with the Model 3 and Model Y Standard, our most affordable vehicles. We also unveiled the Megapack 3 and Mega Block, which will further simplify large battery installations by reducing the cost and time to deploy. We believe our scale and cost structure will enable us to navigate the shifting market dynamics across the globe more effectively than our peers, with advances in AI making our products the most compelling in the market. Our focus remains on scaling our core hardware business by maximizing our deliveries and deployments, as these products will deliver increasing value to our customers over time via services powered by AI. Every Tesla vehicle delivered today is designed for autonomy, while every Tesla energy storage product is capable of being enhanced and optimized by your virtual power plant or auto bidder functionality. We continue to deliver a fleet of products that brings AI into the real world as we pursue a future of sustainable abundance as outlined in our master plan part 4. While we face near-term uncertainty from shifting trade, tariff, and fiscal policy, we are focused on long-term growth and value creation. We are prudently making the necessary investments in our business, including future business lines that we believe will drive incredible value for Tesla and the world across transport, energy, and robotics. Okay, stock is kind of going green here. A little bit.
Yeah. I mean, definitely was a nice improvement in overall revenues, right? I mean, Q2 was 22 billion and Q1 was 19 billion. Here they did 28 billion this quarter. So not sure if everybody's just trying to buy those cars before the end of the credits ended. But there was definitely a nice pickup in revenue growth, where you even saw a year-over-year growth in the automotive segment as well.
Yeah, energy services, increase in vehicle deliveries, that helped. They said our operating income decreased 40%, resulting in a 5.8% operating margin. The reason was because of SBC, lower credits, lower one-time FSD revenue recognition, higher average cost per vehicle due to lower fixed cost absorption, and then increase in operating expenses. So kind of the typical things any business would have to deal with, but they were a bit more aggressive this quarter for Tesla. And that's why that operating income came in just not as strong as some people expected. 438 is what you've got on the stock. All right, we'll get back to Tesla, but let's look at some of these other earnings that I believe are out. IBM down. So you got IBM taking a bit of a hit. Let's see if we can pull up those numbers. SAP, that's ugly. EPS, they missed by 18%. Let me make sure that is correct. SAP... No, SAP, okay, that was a different company. SAP, they beat by 6%. They missed on revenue. EPS up 40% year over year, revenues up 15% year over year. So SAP not doing too bad. That stock, although Street doesn't like it, is down 5.4%. So one of Europeans' biggest software companies that's down. IBM beat by 8% on EPS, 265 versus 245, 16.3 versus 16.1 on revenue. Revenues up 9% year over year. EPS up 15. IBM, that stock also is down by about 2%. So you got IBM.
Lam Research is up after hours right now. I'm trying to look at their sites, but it's up about 2-3% and pulling down, it seems, but it's still up.
Yeah, don't have the numbers for Lam yet. Oh, no, we do. Beat by 2%, 124 versus 122, 5.3 billion versus 5.23 billion. IBM Consulting revenue missed. Okay, so that could be explaining a little bit of the weakness there. Revenues up 30% year over year for Lam Research. EPS up 44% year over year. I mean, these numbers outside of Tesla missing on EPS are pretty good across the board, which is what we've seen in Q3 earnings so far. It's just a lot of these stocks either have it baked in or they're not going to react as aggressively to the upside on these names. Okay, so that's what you got on some of. Get a little bit more coverage on some of the other names. Let's pull up IBM and go from there.
The results are a beat on the top and bottom lines. You see the stock moving lower. I'll tell you why that might be in just a moment. Guidance raised for Q4 in effect because the full year is raised. So there's an asterisk on the beat. Get to that in a moment. But revenue beat at $16.33 billion versus $16.09 consensus. The upside, though, did not come from software overall. Software at $7.21 billion, in line with consensus. Consulting, though, did beat at $5.32 billion versus $5.24 expected. Infrastructure in this mainframe cycle is up 15% in constant currency, which also accounts for a big amount of the beat. Now, for the full year, constant currency revenue growth of more than 5% now is what IBM is guiding to, up from at least 5% from the last release. A free cash flow for the full year at $14 billion, up from $13.5. Now, I did speak with IBM CEO Arvind Krishna about the quarter just a little bit ago. The reason why software was just in line was Red Hat. It was up less than expected, while other AI-related business did better than expected. Krishna did tell me the Red Hat miss is just a blip. Here's some of what he said. Red Hat did 12% instead of 14%, he told me, which it did last quarter. You don't see me worried about it because our bookings growth remains strong at 20%. We did have some weakness earlier in Q4, in 24, late 23. So by the end of this year, that all kind of washes itself out.
So consulting revenue being the big issue in the context of IBM. I mean, outside of that, Lam Research still flat on those numbers. You're not seeing a big whipsaw to the upside or to the downside on any of these names outside of SAP.
Not like yesterday.
No, not like yesterday at all. And Tesla is just still chilling out. That's it. It's really not moving in an aggressive way. I'm still looking at the earnings deck. Jose, if you see anything that you think...
Yeah, I'm trying to find... People are saying that they mentioned something about the Cybercab, the Semi, and Megapack 3 are scheduled for volume production starting in 2026. But I have yet to find it in the deck just yet.
Well, let me... Yeah, there's this line they always have that says they're ready to start in 2026, which is important because it gives you some timelines. The only 2026, yeah, right here, Cybercab, Tesla Semi, and Megapack are on schedule for volume production starting in 2026. First generation production lines for Optimus are being installed in anticipation of volume production. That's good news. That's like decent to hear.
That's more Optimus news than I thought we were going to get.
Yeah, that is. I didn't expect that one, actually. First generation production lines for Optimus are being installed in anticipation of volume production, AKA there should be decent demand that is coming through. And then Cybercab, Tesla Semi, Megapack 3 are on schedule for volume production in 2026. So we have sufficient liquidity to fund our product roadmap, long-term capacity expansion plans. While we continue to execute on innovations to reduce the cost of manufacturing operations over time, we expect our hardware-related profits to be accompanied by the acceleration of AI. While we are making prudent investments that will set up our vehicle, energy, and other future businesses for growth, the actual results will depend on a variety of factors. Yeah, you're not getting anything too crazy. We already know they have the highest quarterly energy storage ever. That was announced on their deliveries. We recently launched a new lease offering in the U.S. for Solar Plus Powerwall that provides customers with predictable energy costs. We believe this is the new lease offering that is going to help drive incremental demand for our residential energy products over time. Tesla is still flat. All right. There you go. That's what we have on Tesla earnings. Basent is talking somewhere, and he's saying a bunch of things. Number one, he says, I think housing prices are a lagging indicator. Number two, he says, you might see CPI coming down next month and the month after. Number three, he says, going to see substantial tax refunds for Americans. I don't know if Basent means through a tariff dividend or something, but he's saying a ton of stuff. And then he said, gold prices rising has helped us substantially. Okay, so wherever Basent is talking, he is saying some stuff around gold and tax refunds. That's helping out. QuantumScape, that's another battery production company.
Mm-hmm.
They are, I think, having a much better earnings right here on their stock. Yeah, there you go. You're getting a pump right there. QS, that's up 9% after hours. Jose, any thoughts on this one? If you are familiar with it?
A little bit in here, right? I mean, they continue to announce some nice partnerships, I think, with Volkswagen, and their batteries are definitely moving a little bit further than just a scientific theory, right? So it seems to be getting a lot of excitement right now. Even with this after-hour move, though, it's still down for the day, right? It opened up at a roughly $14.60. At $15.22.
Yeah, stock was down 12% on the day, up 7% after hours. This is an $8 billion company, no revenue. And EPS, they lost 18 cents a share, which is better than what the street expected.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe chat might be more familiar, but I think they did announce some nice partnerships with, was it Volkswagen? I think with Volkswagen that they were going to be using some of their products.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're seeing a lot of these companies again. Where is QS over the past 5 days? Yeah, I mean, you got to put it in the momentum bucket, right? Down 25% over the past days. Still up 1% over the past month, which shows you how much momentum there was, but at least less losses than expected on EPS. All right, so most of the people said that's a dump on the chat. You're not wrong. You're not right either, because we're not really dumping. But everyone who said pump,
yes.
Yeah, but every single pump is definitely not right, because we're not really pumping either. Let's get some more coverage right here. This is from Roth Capital. They have about a $400 price target on Tesla. Here's what they have to say about the quarter.
Every quarter. Yes. But do you want to get your initial takeaways, especially as revenue jumped 12% year over year?
Yeah. I mean, it was 6% above consensus in the quarter. So we knew they were going to beat the quarter, right? Because the expiry of credits, there's always a little bit of a pull forward. The real question is whether or not they created a slightly smaller hole that they get to fill in the December quarter. Their language in the outlook statement, where they say it's difficult to measure the impact of shifting global trade and fiscal policies, seems to suggest that they don't really have a clear view yet on whether or not the price adjustments that they put through are going to significantly dent the momentum that they've picked up in the last several months. So, they're being cautious here. The direction of the stock, though, coming out of the call is going to be a function of what they say on Optimus, what they say on, robotaxi, really more than anything right now, and the outlook for them removing the surrogate drivers in these cars. What's the potential there, and how do they see this taking shape over the next number of months?
And I got to interact with one of the Optimus robot variants just a couple of weeks ago at the Up Summit. I mean, it's pretty incredible, but it also still seems to me like it has a long way to go here. So how much of this is based on that commentary about the future versus the nearer term, especially when you do see things like, and I think it gets overshadowed a lot, the energy business seems to be very strong too.
Yeah, energy's strong. The sort of tailwind from, electricity prices up, basically 40%. Over the last few years, it's something that really does improve economics there. They will have real competition in there. They are the largest competitors. They'll dominate like they do in everything that they do. But it's not nearly as large a market, at least in my view, as the potential for Optimus. And then the automotive market, and eventually EVs will come back and will be back in vogue, and Tesla's going to be the category king at that time still. So you have a variety of things that are kind of working for them. Right now, I'm just excited about Optimus. I think that the glitching.
Jose, I mean, picking up on that conversation right there. And by the way, guys, for those that are on my channel, Jose's Twitter, so please make sure to follow him there, and his YouTube as well in the description. Is Optimus the only real exciting story you think is out there right now to get this stock to get some momentum?
Maybe for trend, the trend market, I guess, because we keep hearing about the robotic space from everybody, right? NVIDIA and all these big companies, right? So it definitely is a trend topic at the moment. But I think for NVIDIA, I mean, for Tesla, just it's overall FSD. I think FSD has various opportunities, not just in the automotive market, but whatever they can learn there could be formed into not just Optimus, which is a humanoid robotics, but any other type of robotic product that they can produce, right? Robotics come in all shapes and sizes. It could be a humanoid robot. They can have a cheaper version in the future, which could just be AI hand robot, which can do certain things for businesses. So there is that opportunity thanks to all this AI push and AI learning that they're doing as well.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the energy part of the business also is a little bit more exciting than robots right now because there's all this need for energy. And like, obviously Tesla should have the scale and infrastructure to supply that demand, probably more than some of these other smaller energy stocks that are going to the moon and, you know, they don't have anything that Tesla has. It's just not become a focal part of the business, right?
That is true. I mean, for data centers, I mean, you want that constant power all the time. And unfortunately, right now with data centers and GPUs, if there's a lot of charts out there that showcase kind of the usage of how the grid goes when you're powering on and using all these GPUs. And it's just this crazy seesaw effect. But the great thing is you can't have things like that. You need it to be more stable. And Tesla, I mean, their packs are being used by XAI, and I'm pretty sure it's going to continue. So that data center market growth can, even within that market, can be a huge customer of a lot of these crazy packs that they have for the big plays.
Yeah, and I think that could be a substantial growth driver if they get some of these massive data center contracts as well, or if the overall demand for data centers continues to grow and need energy. We do have Southwest Airlines. They also had earnings today. They beat. EPS was 11 versus -3 cents. That's a really healthy beat. Operating revenue was slightly up. Passenger revenue, 6.3 billion versus 6.2. That's up 1%. And then free cash flow, 2.37 versus 2.21. So similar to United and Delta, the consumer companies around travel are not really showing that much weakness. They're not showing that much weakness. 3Q adjusted EPS again tops the core estimates. And that's why you got Southwest that's going green. United, they had it. United said that Q3 was going to be, or Q4 was going to be their best quarter ever in terms of operating income. United up a little bit after hours. Delta also said the consumer is very healthy. So you're getting a lot of these consumer companies come out. Levi said the same thing. And you're not seeing that much pain on them. A lot of these momentum names, folks, are still down after hours. Oklo's down another 1.7. D-Wave's down 4% after hours. The S&P is down 50 cents. So it's not like there's a market downturn that's causing this. Bitmine's flat after hours. Bitmine did close at 48. HIMS closed at 47.50. Galaxy down 12%, down another 1% after hours, or down 0.3%. And then Nebius also down 0.5%. So some of these data center names continuing to get hit after hours as well.
Yeah. And for these speculative names, some of them are not speculative, right? Some do have certain businesses, but at least for that trend, on the bright end, we do have kind of big tech reporting earnings, I think, next week. So if they talk anything about capital expenditure growth in data center, that could be a nice momentum shift for a lot of those companies. Unfortunately, and I don't think it's going to happen, but unfortunately, if the opposite happens and you kind of see a little bit of hiccup in CapEx, which again, I don't think is going to happen, but if it does, some of those momentum stocks can also feel the pain with commentary from big tech later next week.
Do you think big tech could give really good commentary about CapEx and these momentum stocks that are like in the AI CapEx ecosystem still get hit because there's too much baked into their prices?
I think it depends. I mean, it's at least in the data center players, the ones that actually have a contract, I think have a higher chance of turning things around with good commentary. The ones that maybe don't have contracts with big players, that one, I think it's a coin flip. So we know companies like CRWV, companies like NBIS. I'm not sure if Iron does, but some other players also kind of have that partnership already within some of these big companies.
Folks, Molina Healthcare is down 16%. Oh boy, there's something happening in healthcare. I'll try to figure out what's going on. Oscar's down 4% as well because of that. UNH is down 1% because of that. I guess Molina had earnings, and the earnings weren't good, I would imagine. Molina Healthcare, goodness, for 16% getting hit. Yeah, earnings miss. Okay, so they missed on earnings, but it looks like their guidance is really ugly, especially for Q4. Our Medicaid business continues to perform well in a challenging medical cost environment. The headline for the quarter is that approximately half of our underperformance is driven by the marketplace business, and that Medicaid, while experiencing some pressure, is producing strong margins. We continue to grow. We believe the margin challenges will not persist, and we are encouraged by margin improvement potential in 2026. There you go. 184 EPS miss. It's down 70% year over year. Revenue, they did beat slightly, 11.4 versus 10.3. CNC is getting hit hard as well, right? Yeah, CNC, UNH, all these guys.
There was also an article that came in about 10 minutes ago that Reuters, OpenAI with Oracle and Vantage Data Center will develop a data center campus in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, as part of the Stargate project. The company said on Wednesday. I didn't see the actual report from OpenAI, but we do have kind of like a other Stargate project being announced.
OpenAI, Oracle, and Vantage, 15 billion Stargate data hub in Wisconsin, 4,000 skilled construction jobs expected. Dude, are they just going to open a data center everywhere? Jose, is that what they're going to do? Like just everywhere?
I think so. I mean, like I mentioned, I think last week I talked about it, that NVIDIA, there's this startup company that's trying to build them in freaking space. So it's crazy what the market wants to do with data centers right now.
Okay, there you go. So more data center news right there. Beyond Meat, I think, is still taking a beating after hours. Wow, 290. I mean, there was someone who bought it today at $5, at $6, at $6.30, at $6.40, at $4.50, at $7.50. There was someone who bought it at $8.50, actually at 5:40 a.m. Like, what are we doing? Why is this happening? Why are people chasing these? Like, it is incredible to see this time and time again. This continues to happen.
I mean, I think just everybody in the past few months, right? Everybody's getting excited about these momentum plays, and then you get sad that you miss some of them. So you're like, oh, this is the next one. So I think it's just a cycle of greed. Yeah, someone above average Joe. It's just people that probably missed some of the great returns the past few months are trying to get their returns right now.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And I don't know, does Beyond Meat go back to $8? Like, is this just taking a breather, or is this a pump and dump? Like, this is the stuff that's hard to figure out, but it definitely is not the easiest for a lot of people to navigate.
Someone in your comments posted they just need to open up a data center and that's it.
Dude, I feel like Beyond Meat could easily do a partnership with OpenAI, and they could talk about AI helping their logistics and procuring meat and all this stuff. But, you know, the Walmart partnership, I guess, was enough to do what they needed to do. All right, let's see if we have some of these other earnings right now. So we looked at Southwest. We looked at Netflix today. Jose, any thoughts on Netflix? Is this a stock you at all care about, or no?
No, yesterday, I mean, there were 3 earnings yesterday that I really followed: Texas Instrument, Galaxy, and I forgot the third one that I kind of was paying attention to. But Netflix was not one I wanted to listen to because I was scared that they were going to say they were increasing my subscription prices.
Yeah, enough is enough at this point. Enough is enough. TXN, did they say anything that kind of put you off guard? I know it wasn't the best earnings, but it also wasn't horrible either.
Yeah, I mean, here for kind of like the analog market, they did mention that this market recovery is one of the slowest they've seen. So obviously we get the excitement in the AI space, but every other aspect of the semiconductor industry is still growing pretty slowly. They mentioned you have to go back in a long time in history to see kind of a slower regrowth cycle than this. But they did mention that they're going to start showing their AI segment for the next quarter or the next 2 quarters, I forget, because that market for them is growing at 50%. So hopefully that momentum is going to produce maybe some results here for Texas. But Texas is not a stock that I personally like. I think this is more like a market performer than a market beater.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree with that. The other thing that's really important about some of these semiconductor companies is just like a little bit of a signal into what we think we could get from NVIDIA. And I think with TSM and ASML, we've already gotten a pretty decent signal. But obviously, we're going to need to see what NVIDIA comes up with in terms of their results. Looking at some more stuff with Tesla, guys. I don't think there's anything else that's that crazy in terms of the story. Couple of points here. We launched the Model YL in China. This actually did do very well. A longer wheelbase version of the Model Y with 6 seats and 3 rows, expanding our product portfolio in the critical market. We achieved record deliveries in South Korea, Taiwan, Japan, and Singapore, and began deliveries of the Model Y in India. South Korea is now our largest market behind the US and China. Wow. Serving as a validation of our competitive positioning in a robust EV market. Yeah, I didn't think South Korea would be their biggest or their third largest market. But apparently that is. We launched FSD supervised in Australia and New Zealand and continue to prepare for a broader launch in China, pending regulatory approval. Model Y is the best-selling vehicle in Norway, Switzerland, and Iceland year to date, and Finland for Q3 in the Netherlands, and Denmark in September. Dude, I thought Europe hated this guy.
I like what they say in the next slide when talking about software developments. They mention in the next paragraph, the last sentence, they have about 81,000 now H100 equivalent training compute capacity for both inference and training here in the United States, which I think is crazy. They definitely have a massive AI infrastructure.
Jose, where is Dojo? And do you think it still can compete with NVIDIA, as some people thought a long time ago?
I mean, the way Elon used to talk about Dojo back then was that it was going to be a chip that was really going to be good at video analyzing. Most recently, NVIDIA has announced some pretty cool things that are really good for video AI. So I don't know anymore. I think Elon will continue to develop that side. And like he does, he's going to have his own chips and he's going to buy NVIDIA chips. And I think that's going to continue. But with the recent new chip that NVIDIA announced, the CPX9, I forget the actual name of it, but it's meant to handle long video. And that's what Elon really needs for his car, right? I mean, you have like 6-8 cameras, each recording when you're doing FSD for multiple frames, multiple minutes, hour trips. You need to be able to understand all that information. So they can continue, but I think NVIDIA is definitely producing some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, Elon also said, I think he said it's a very low probability Dojo will end up replacing some of our needs of compute. He said this, I think, back in end of 2023. But he did say it was worth pursuing, and that's why they still have the compute capacity that they have. S&P right here, after hours, relatively flat, 667.56. Google still 251. AMD down about 3% on the day. Palantir still down 3%. Hoodie did get a little recovery from 122 to 126. Tesla, folks, it really feels like one of the most boring Tesla earnings ever in terms of the stock price action, which is probably a good thing for those that are long. Because if you've been buying this thing at 240 and below in April and March, I think 215 was the lowest. I mean, you've had a pretty nice move. If you got it at 450, you're probably upset. But like outside of that, just holding the 430s with negative 30% earnings growth, holding a $1.5 trillion market cap, I feel like is a win. Which means you can't be too upset about it. Oscar's down another 5% because Molina Healthcare, which is another company in the healthcare space, took a hit, down 16%. So Oscar, this is the thing about Oscar, right? Like you have to understand the healthcare market. I personally believe it's hard to invest in something like an Oscar if you don't understand the healthcare ecosystem. It's hard to invest in a Micron if you don't understand memory storage. So same thing with Oscar right here. If Molina's getting hit, then Oscar's getting hit. Now that doesn't mean Oscar deserves to be down. It just means that because it's in the same sector, CNC, UNH, et cetera, all these guys will take a little bit of a tumble. That's what we got. Citi initiates coverage on Visa with a buy rating, 450 price target, citing its network scale, payments dominance, and strong brand as formidable modes. I think the stablecoin stuff is also, starting to be a tailwind for Visa more than a headwind. So that could be another reason why we're getting those price targets. All right, so what do we think in the chat? If you had to put out a few words or a sentence to describe your thoughts on this earnings, let's see what people are thinking. Call is at 5:30. Call is in about 40 minutes.
Man, he takes his time for the call, right? Most people, this guy wants to making us wait.
Unimpressed, terrible, snooze fest, run of the mill. Dude, the call is going to be worse, bro. The call is going to be so boring. Do you guys remember last time? I think you were there, Jose, last time. It was boring. Like, I almost like fell asleep. Like, it was actually.
Yeah. I think I had to leave for the same reason today. I usually take my little one to swimming class, so he might save me from the Elon stuff.
I think he is going to save you, bro. I mean, like, Elon sounded like he just woke up, bro, and he didn't want to be there. So he was just talking in long sentences, and I think he made a couple jokes that were so cringe, but like everyone still at least had some entertainment there. Matt says it's like watching paint dry. Cash credit puts are printing. That's correct. As long as Elon doesn't sound like he's about to cry, it'll be fine in the long run. Elon, by the way, speaking of Tesla, has been throwing a lot of shots today.
Yeah, I saw it. He shot at almost every AI company in one post. I don't know if you saw that one.
I saw that one. And then this one, he said, at this point, I am not advocating any particular candidate for NASA administrator. I'm just desperate for someone with a 3-digit IQ. So, he's definitely not happy with what's going on with NASA. And then here's what he said right here around AI. As expected, any given AI company will be the opposite of its name. OpenAI is closed. Stability is unstable. Midjourney isn't mid, which is kind of a compliment, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder if he was complimenting that one.
That's a little nice. Anthropic is misanthropic. And then Claude is pure evil. And the reason for this was because someone said, here's how Claude Sonnet 4.5 trades off terminal illnesses sufferers across countries. Nigerians are worth 27 times as much as Germans. And with GPT-4, there's a ranking order of different countries. I don't even understand what this means. LLMs trading off different lives. I have no idea. I have not looked into anything like this, but I would have to read this article to understand what this even means. But yeah, Elon says they're evil as a result of that.
And the crazy thing, I mean, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but it's like you have to also hope they would produce the prompts that were used. So then people can kind of understand what were they trying to say, what were they trying to get the system to do. But yeah, again, I didn't follow that either. I just saw he was taking shots at every AI company out there except Midjourney.
Do you think Elon's gotten to the point where he does not care anymore? Like, he just knows that people will buy his stock no matter what. He's, likely too powerful to go to jail or anything like that. Do you think he's just like, I'm going to do whatever I want to do now?
I don't. I mean, it's all about what he cares about, right? If he cares about money, he shouldn't have, because he has it all, pretty much all. So if it's all about his main goal and what makes him tick. If money makes him tick, I think he could care less. If people liking him make him tick, then I think he cares a lot of what he says. So it's all of what drives the man or the person.
Yeah, I would agree. I also think, he's earned the right to not care that much anymore about a lot of stuff, and he's busy getting stuff done. But I also think he apologizes a decent amount when he says something that, like, obviously goes the wrong way. And so it's at this point of his life where he just doesn't care, and he's probably not going to care. Now, the question is that bad for shareholders? And given this new compensation package, I don't think it is. I mean, do you think Elon deserves to get $1 trillion if he gets the stock up to 10 trillion?
Yeah, I mean, if he's there, maybe not working directly, but the ability to be able to delegate, pick the right team is what makes a company. You can't, not anybody can do that. If so, you would have all these crazy AI companies. So you have to give the guy some credit. And if the shareholders approve it, then why would it be? Why should there be any questions about it?
Yeah, I don't see the argument. I don't see the argument against not giving him the money. It's like, if he 10x's the stock, like, okay, he makes $1 trillion, but you get a 10x too. Maybe your 100,000 becomes $1 million. It's like, okay, you don't have $1 trillion, but like, you can't hate on the guy who has $1 trillion if he's the reason you even got here in the first place. Here's a little bit more coverage on what we've got with some of Tesla's earnings.
to data export issues, making them not able to have their latest full self-driving software in China at any given time. So I think Tesla is not coming from as big of a first mover advantage. And so while we think they're likely to grow and maintain a big share of the ride-hailing market in the US over time, we do think that it won't happen starting next year. We still think testing is in the early stages, and we think the recent market rally is pricing in a lot of the optimism, a lot of the upside, assuming Tesla gains market share next year and becomes a successful entrant into robotaxi, and we just see a smaller valuation opportunity for Tesla here.
And look, even if
that guy was screaming at us, I don't know why. I felt him coming through. Sorry. All right, my bad.
Pause. Well, yeah, I think his room has too big of an echo, and that's why the mic was just him yelling. But even if he's right about that, it doesn't matter because the street cares more about, the trajectory of their story on growth versus if we're pulling forward demand. Here's an update from the White House on the idea of the White House curbing export controls on China with products made by U.S. software. This was the reason, most likely, the market took a hit today.
That report earlier today that the U.S. is considering software curbs for China in retaliation for the Chinese action on trade. The Treasury Secretary said, yes, they are considering those kinds of software curbs. He said everything is on the table. He was also asked about Russia sanctions, and he signaled that something significant may be coming. Here's what the Treasury Secretary had to say just a short time ago.
We are going to either announce after the close this afternoon or first thing tomorrow morning a substantial pickup in Russia sanctions.
So there you heard the Treasury Secretary saying he's going to announce a substantial pickup in Russia sanctions. He didn't specify what that is, Scott. There have been a number of discussions in Washington around a bill up on Capitol Hill to increase sanctions on those who import Russian oil. Not clear if that would be part of what the Treasury Secretary is talking about, but he did say it could come after the close today, so that is in just about 20 minutes' time.
Well, we'll watch all of that. Obviously, the software news seems to be the most relevant, I think, to how the markets may take that. What's interesting, Eamon, like a name like Microsoft is up, still up 2/3 of 1%. I've read some other things about a software component that Intel has in addition to chips. That stock's down 3%. But we'll see what ends up coming from that and if it has the same impact on some of the software players as it has at times over the chip names, which have obviously been in the news related to the same sort of headlines.
Yeah, and this is tricky for investors, Scott, because as you weigh all these headlines, you have to figure how much of this is sort of trade saber rattling ahead of the meeting next week, and how much of this is really actually on the table and actually likely to happen. We know that the president is departing for Malaysia on Friday. We know that the Treasury Secretary has said that he'll be having meetings with the Chinese delegation as early as this weekend. So all of this next couple of days in the run-up to those meetings could be both sides jockeying for position in those talks, saying, hey, if you're coming at us with this, as a reminder, we have that response ready to go. So you have to take all of that into context as you make a decision if you're an investor looking to place money on this.
Yeah, I mean, this news throughout the whole day was just weird about software in the U.S. getting an export control on products that they make. And it feels like that was the argument for why stocks took a hit, but you're just not getting clarity on any sense up or down of exactly what it means. But it looks like that was the reason. Speaking of software, Jose, did you see this thing? I mean, NVIDIA, I think you talked about it a little bit, but Star Cloud's H100 power satellites, data centers in space.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I mean, like, this is if NVIDIA is able, look at that 5 gigawatt data center in space. Do you think that could be the future of where we get our compute from?
I mean, it would be interesting for sure. It definitely eliminates. My question is, what happens if it breaks? Like, how are you going to be able to go fix it? Like, do you have just you just have astronauts ready to go on the ship and ready to fix things, and they know how to fix a GPU if something goes bad. So interesting. I think this is a render. The company doing this is called StarCloud. It's a startup company that NVIDIA funds through some of their inception programs. But I think in November they're going to be sending the first H100. They're just going to send one chip to space to see if it actually works. So obviously we're still in the theory aspect of this, but I think it's November, we're seeing the first. And I don't know who's shipping it, who they have contracted for that. But the first one is going to go out in November to see if we can actually do it, if it's actually practical.
Yeah, this is getting kind of crazy, dude. This is getting kind of crazy, but I guess this is a new part of the world that we live in.
Yeah. Because my question would be like, I mean, obviously the power issue seems to be fixed somehow with solar and with solar energy, but then the cooling aspect, I'm not a space engineer, but I'm pretty sure there's no movement or transfer of heat there because nothing is moving. So I wonder how the cooling aspect of it goes. But obviously they probably have tons of engineers and physicists that are fixing that problem.
You have a filing from Tesla. Tesla says Trump administration should not impose tariffs on robots or industrial machines being used for U.S. manufacturing. I mean, kind of makes sense. Don't know if Trump's going to care, but you got Tesla definitely saying they don't want to get.
Random thought. I wonder if a humanoid robot comes in now that you have to, like, are you going to end up paying the same type of fee as like the H-1 visa or something, right? Because in theory, it's replacing a human for a job from another part of the world. So I wonder what kind of aspect or fees are going to be used with companies moving on and using robots instead of actual people.
Yeah, I mean, look, I feel like who would fix those data centers? It would be robots, right? It's just like, could you trust that they actually meaningfully are able to send them into space and actually get the job done? Shouldn't this apply to all sectors? Yeah, theoretically, that could also play out. Make robots and industrial machines here. Why reduce tariffs on robots to replace American human jobs? I think it's about the feasibility of, could we actually make the robots here? Like, I don't know what Tesla's Optimus supply chain looks like, but I would be very surprised if there wasn't some level of China involved, and just even in the actuators for the robots, being able to source that in the United States. I mean, might just not be the easiest thing for them to do.
Unless once you have all the robots, then you can make them with those robots and that'll be cheaper. So as you just pay the fee for the first investment, but then after that, you can just make robots make more robots.
Dude, are we crazy to think the robots are like legit, or are we buying into Elon's fantasy? Like, who in the chat legit believes billions of robots will be on the planet one day? Or is it all just a joke that we're entertaining ourselves with for now? I feel like it's legit. Like, it's the next evolution of humans.
Yeah, I think within the next 10 years, maybe not everybody, but it'll definitely be a little bit more common than where we're at. A lot more common than what we see now.
I don't see a world in which humans don't figure out that we eventually want to automate a lot of the stuff that people don't like doing, or that would be more efficient. I mean, this is basically what LLMs are doing to intelligence, right? Like, do I need to really know all these historical facts when I can just ask ChatGPT? And so then the question becomes, from a physical perspective, do I really need to wash the dishes if there's something else that can do it for me and I can go like washing the dishes really is pointless, bro. Like, there isn't a point to, like, the only point is so that you have clean dishes. But there's not a real, like, philosophical goal to washing the dishes. That should
when
be
you clean the dish, you clean the slate out of your mind as well. You get a clear mind after.
That's true. That's true. You do.
That's what my wife tells me to force me to wash the dishes.
Well, there you go. That's a good idea. She was smart about that. And my mom taught me how to do laundry when I was in second grade. Like, I've legit done my laundry since I was 8 years old. And I do kind of find it relaxing to just like go and do your laundry and like, get the job done. And it feels like you accomplished something. But it's also just like, should I really have to do the laundry? Like, if something else can get the laundry done, you could be doing something else at the time. that's where the use case comes in, at least for robots. You wash the dishes, so when I go to cook, I don't have to clean up just to cook. It drives me nuts. Yeah, obviously washing the dishes is important for your health, but I'm talking about, like, do humans need to be doing that if it could be automated? That's the question. I feel like the answer is no. You can do my laundry instead. Humanoid robots are inefficient and impractical. Most bots will continue to be task specific. Well, I think that's the goal with these combination of action language models and then the robot itself is like, can it actually do many things autonomously? Even Figure, which has put out a lot more videos than Tesla, it still can't do much, right? It can do some stuff on the video, but it looks like it's far away from doing anything meaningful. And that's why I think the Optimus update that Elon gives us, just might not be filled with anything tangible for the street to care about.
And I think that's also the power of AI, right? It's going to allow for the ability to create new, maybe not in this concept, but in a top level, create new code for the robot whenever it needs to make a new task. So it's not only just doing one task, it could do whatever you need it to do. But obviously, in form of safety, you don't want it to just create something out of the new without testing it, because then you end up with some Terminator style things. But I think there's some truth between not getting to Terminator and having a robot that can do stuff for us.
Yeah, that is fair. So that is very fair. Is Trump live right now? Why would Trump be live? He was live yesterday. He's going to Malaysia in 2 days. I don't see him live yet, but we might get some quotes. I'll check if he is live. Here is Liz Thomas today on where she thinks the state of the bull market continues to be.
The fact that I think this rally can continue and the bull market can continue, but it won't be without these intermittent breakdowns in beta. And we are right in the midst of an intermittent breakdown in beta, and it's happening the way that you would expect. So as we hear from these Mag 7 names, I think it's going to affect sentiment. I think investors are going to react to it, and it may feel more volatile than usual just because of how extended we got. So you look at some of the factor performance over the last week. We've got value stocks, high quality stocks doing well, right? And then you look at some of the stuff that hasn't done well, momentum has really taken a hit. So a lot of those crowded trades, a lot of the stuff that's run up so much, gold being on that list as well.
You're talking about perceived frothy areas of the market.
Not even perceived, real, right? So
I couched it,
frothy.
I didn't have to,
real froth in the market coming out. So as the Mag 7 information comes out, you're going to see sentiment react to that more than anything. And then again, this is all about guidance. It's all about spending. And I think for the rest of 2025, it will continue to be about spending. But in 2026, it becomes, where is the real profit?
How do you see it?
Nice to see everyone. Thanks for having me. Look, I think the earnings season for Mag 7 is going to be, what the market needs is Goldilocks on the CapEx. So you need to believe it's going higher. The CapEx is going higher. Maybe not.
Is there anything to lead you to believe it's not? I mean, you really expect them to say something otherwise?
No, I think in the distribution of it's flat to down, higher or way higher, you get assigned probabilities. I got a low one to flat to down in the next couple of quarters, but I think it has to come up. I think you have to be convinced that they're still very committed to high return on that spending. I think there's some risk that they actually spend too much in the short term and freak people out a little bit. So, I'm not saying Microsoft's going to have negative free cash flow.
Are we past that stage?
I don't think so, and I don't agree. The frothing is an interesting word. I think there's froth in the profitless. You see ARC down 5%. It's a low quality hypergrowth proxy or whatever, Goldman profitless basket. Like those things, there's froth, the number of companies that are up 100% or more in 6 months. But I don't know if there's froth in the Mag 7.
No.
I think it's a little bit different.
I don't think that.
I don't think there's. Jose, do you think there's any froth in the Mag 7 besides Tesla?
I am going to say I'm sorry for this, man. I was not listening. I was just reading your chat, and your chat was just crazy. The lady who supposedly was the smartest person in that stream, and then the guy, he was just talking nonsense.
Liz is very smart, but they were not complaining because they wanted to hear her smart intake. They were complaining that the camera moved because these people are crazy. So that was the different reason that they were complaining. But Do you think there is froth in Max 7, or are we at normal multiples?
I mean, if
I
was to,
Max 7 is Tesla, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, if I would like personally, I would feel comfortable investing in most of the Max 7. Like if someone was like, hey, you have all this money right now, where would you throw it? Without like a second thought, it would be a form of Max 7 player. My top favorite ones right now are probably like Google, Amazon, and NVIDIA within that list right now.
Yeah, I would agree. Those would be some of my favorites as well. By the way, Trump is about to go live with the Secretary of NATO. Did not know that was happening today, but looks like that's happening. So we'll get over to that when we see it. By the way, just want to give a quick shout out. Happy birthday to Ray and Austin. Those are two of my mods. Yeah, two of my mods in the chat. If I don't know if they're watching right now, but if they're watching later, happy birthday to both you guys. Love you both. Happy that you are October birthdays, October babies like myself.
When's your birthday?
27th. Yeah, so in like 5 days. So they're unks like me, bro. They're unks. Jose, you're an unk too. We're all unks, bro. We're all just getting older. Dude, you know, I saw a silver hair in my beard the other day. Like a legit silver gray, whatever you want to call it. Like, I was like, oh, I'm legit an unk now. Like, I'm actually.
Don't tell my wife, but once I got married, they really started coming out.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Stress, bro.
It's just kidding, honey.
Are you a Scorpio? Yes, I'm a Scorpio. I'm a Scorpio. I think Scorpios are the best. Signs. Jose, do you know your sign at all?
Yeah, I'm a Virgo. August 29th is my birthday.
Okay, there you go.
Virgo.
Yo, what is Elon? What is Elon? I feel like that would explain something, right? Elon is a freaking Cancer. Huh. Okay, so Elon is a Cancer. There we go. All right, so we got the Tesla call in about 30 minutes. Trump will be live with NATO. We'll see what he says there. Not too much else going on after hours. We do have these Besant quotes, which I think the market's still trying to fully understand. You have the OpenAI Stargate 2.0 announcement. Oh, this one right here was pretty cool. Tesla's AI training capacity hit a record high in Q3. They now have 120,000 NVIDIA H100 GPUs worth of compute power. Okay, here's a question, Jose, and this is for the chat as well. Do you think that Elon will talk about XAI today? Yeah, as like an investment opportunity that they are going to do.
This quarter is when we got hit with the Grok update, right, on Teslas. So yeah. I think at least there's a great way to tie that around, right? It's like, what are you paying Grok? Or are you paying, how much money are you paying XAI to be able to do this? If you're paying any, and if you are paying, does it just make more sense to invest in the company instead, so you don't have to pay for things like that? And I'm gonna guess eventually for Optimus, you're gonna have some form of Grok integration as well. So at what point does it make sense to have that synergy through an investment?
I feel like this should have happened a long time ago, but Elon was trying to get some leverage. I'm going to put a poll right here in the chat on how many people think that Tesla should invest in XAI. I think the reason Elon didn't do it is because he wanted to make sure that he would get paid first. And, you know, if he didn't officially get paid, then he could leave and go do XAI full time. So there's always that kind of threat that stopped people from letting him go, basically.
You'd think he would. I mean, it's weird to say something full time because he runs all these other businesses, right? But do you think he would want to? Do you think he's that excited for the AI market, or where do you think he would spend more of his time, in the space company, SpaceX, XAI, or some of the boring companies that he has?
I do not think he would actually want to leave Tesla ever, but I think he needed some leverage just in case, you know, that he didn't get the compensation package. I think he loves Tesla the most. I think he cares about SpaceX. I think XAI he thinks is important, but XAI, dude, I think he made XAI because he did not want to see Sam Altman win. And right now, Sam Altman objectively is winning. They have the fastest growing LLM, 800 million people use it. So it's like, I think he really wanted to hedge against that. And long term, maybe XAI is going to be a big winner, but it doesn't look like they're stopping ChatGPT. It really doesn't look like. And quite frankly, if you're an AI investor, even if you hate Sam Altman, you gotta hope OpenAI still becomes a multi-trillion-dollar company because all these other companies are tied to OpenAI's success. There was a piece in the Wall Street Journal 2 days ago that said Sam Altman has purposely constructed the ability of getting Lisa Su and Larry Ellison and Hock Tan and Jensen Huang into his ecosystem to make sure that if he fails, they fail too. So I don't think OpenAI is going to fail. I think XAI will still do well, but I don't think he's as passionate about LLMs as he is about self-driving at the end of the day.
And I would say while XAI doesn't seem like it's defeating OpenAI, I do enjoy Grok in Tesla. I feel like Grok is definitely pretty fun as something where you just want to BS or just waste some time, right? It's not like I'm not asking Grok crazy things. It's just some crazy intellectual things, right? And I wonder if that's a unique place where you can go with Grok and with kind of consumer-facing products like Tesla and maybe robotics as well.
Yeah. And look, it's nice to have something that's not as restrictive as OpenAI, but I think eventually all these LLMs will take off their core restrictions. Lending Club, by the way, apparently they had earnings. I'm just looking at that right now. That stock is up 6% after hours. It's good for SoFi. Revenue up 32% year over year, 226 or 266 million. Net income 44 million. That's up 206% year over year. EPS up 185% year over year at 37 cents. The CEO says we delivered another outstanding quarter with 37% growth in originations, 32% growth in revenue, and nearly tripling diluted earnings per share, resulting in a return on equity on over 13%. So for those in the SoFi ecosystem, this is definitely something bullish for Lending Club. Yes, I was roasting Grok yesterday because it's just becoming really slow, in my opinion. But look, it's at the end of the day, Grok, Gemini, Claude, all these guys are going to win. I just don't know if they're going to win to the level of GPT that has the amount of users that it has right now. And I think GPT would have to get really bad for a lot of those users to kind of leave those core platforms. Crypto is getting hit after hours, folks. We are getting some pain right here. Crypto's been annoying all month, but you kind of just have to deal with the punches. Bitcoin, are we at least at 108? Bitcoin, 107, low 107s. Dropping like a rock. Tesla down 2% after hours. And ETH, unfortunately, down 2.4. BMNR is getting hit as a result. BMNR is actually up. Okay, so BMNR holding on after hours. But ETH getting hit. Jose, at this point of your investing career, do you care at all about crypto? Or AI more?
I don't think I care about it to really do a deep dive. It's not something I would like badmouth though. I do have a small exposure in like BT, Bit Digital, and I think I talked about that in the past. But I think that's like my closest crypto exposure, and I think it's going to be the closest I have. But again, nothing for I feel like it's too hard for me to understand the concept. Maybe I should look at that deep dive you did a few months ago on ETH. But yeah, nothing too much.
Thoughts on VRT? JS, thanks for the super chat. And do you think they are continuing to play a role in the data center space?
Yeah, so I haven't looked at their earnings, and just a quick plug for my channel here. I'll probably be doing a deeper dive on this one later today on the channel. So I haven't looked at it. I saw the stock price was up after when they reported earnings this morning. Overall, we keep hearing the same story from data centers players: is not enough energy, and just the build out of these data centers, you need to have the overall infrastructure that Vertiv has. I don't own it, but I definitely see the bullish case behind it.
Yeah, and there's Jose's YouTube channel. Again, for anyone who cares about any of the semi stocks, I really would subscribe to Jose. Also, he has a newsletter called What the Chip Happened. I'll put that in the chat as well. And that covers a lot of the semiconductor ecosystem. We do have some news on oil, folks. We do have some news on oil. Oh boy. It looks like the U.S. Treasury has just imposed sanctions on Russia.
Wasn't that what they were just talking about in the other video we saw?
Yeah. Well, it's official. It is official. There you go. Major Russian oil companies are sanctioned. The Department of the Treasury Office of Foreign Assets Control is imposing further sanctions as a result of Russia's lack of serious commitment to peace process to end the war in Ukraine. All right, so that's why crypto's falling. U.S.-Russia tensions going higher. Today, actions increase pressure on Russia's energy sector and degrade the Kremlin's ability to raise revenue for its war machine and support its weakened economy. The United States will continue to advocate for a peaceful resolution to the war, and a permanent peace depends entirely on Russia's willingness to negotiate in good faith. Treasury will continue to use its authorities in support of a peace process. Oil prices are up 3.5% after hours.
That's a pretty wow.
Fun stuff, right? It's every day, bro. There's something. They can't just let the bull market have a fun 2025 conclusion. They got to make us jump through all these hoops to get to the end of this year.
I want to say this is the fun thing about the market is, right, you can like any part of anything and there's a market for you. If you like oil, you can be an oil investor and understand all these crazy oil companies. I know nothing about this, right? Or the fun thing about the market is you can find everything or something that you enjoy investing in.
Here is Besant talking a bit more about what's going on with Putin.
As you know, and the world can see, President Trump is the president of peace. He's done peace deals, trade deals, tax deals, and part of the peace deal, the real remaining final conflict in the world, this would be the 9th one that he has found a solution to, would be between Russia and Ukraine. President Putin has not come to the table in an honest and forthright manner, as we'd hoped. There were talks in Alaska. President Trump walked away when he realized that things were not moving forward. There have been behind-the-scenes talk, but I believe that the president is disappointed at the where we are in these talks. So either this evening or first thing tomorrow morning, we are going to be announcing a substantial increase in Russia's sanctions.
Well, that happened literally 5 minutes ago. So there you go. Yeah, in terms of the actual implications on the market, I mean, sanctions are not what I think the market cares that much about in the context of Russia, but crypto obviously will take a hit whenever you get geopolitical headlines. Low of the day was 106.7. We're at 107.2. So, I mean, a couple $100 and we'd be back to low days as well. Is this not already priced
in any cryptos plays directly? I know I think you're BM&R, right? But are individual cryptos, are you purchasing anything?
No, it would either be Hood or BM&R. That would be my exposure. I don't. People give me shit for this all the time, but I don't care about owning the asset. Like it's not that exciting to me. Like I want to sell calls. I want to get in and out of it. I want to be able to leverage the position. Like I don't care about owning actual Bitcoin on some cold wallet. Like I don't care about all that shit. I just don't care. Or Ethereum. But I do like having exposure to the asset itself. So I think those things are important. But yeah, someone said, is this kind of priced in? I was like, yeah, to an extent, I feel like it's not brand new information that the street is getting. Bitcoin is boring. I don't think Bitcoin as a concept is boring. I just think the price action has been not as exciting. And as a result, MicroStrategy, all these derivatives have been kind of hit. It is kind of wild though. If Bitcoin doesn't get up to 115, this would be the one of the worst Octobers it's had, and the second bad October in 12 years. Usually it's pretty green. And then you got Tom Lee saying 200,000 by end of year, which like I don't understand exactly how that could play out. But you got a lot of other people saying, hey, it should go higher. There you go. Bitcoin 106, very close to potentially losing the intraday. It just seems bleak right now. But then again, Bitcoin has these $10,000 candles that like no one can explain. And so I think when we get the rate cuts, we're going to see how that plays out. Let me see if Trump is officially live. He's with the Secretary General of NATO, and then we have the Tesla call in about 20 minutes. Oil stocks could skyrocket tomorrow. Yes, that is also true, especially based on this news. No, Trump's not live yet. Oh, never mind. He is. All right, hold on.
A little bit easier. That's turned out to be tougher than the Middle East. The Middle East was supposed to be the tough one, and we've solved that puzzle, but this one will get solved also. So I want to just say it's an honor to have you, Mark. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for hosting again. And we were texting, I think it was on the day when you were in Israel and in Egypt, this tremendous success you had under your leadership, bringing peace to the Middle East. And then we texted each other and said, and the next big thing has to be Ukraine, Russia. And I want to help, NATO wants to help, my colleagues want to help to basically deliver on your vision of peace in Ukraine. And I really want to thank you for everything you're doing, including breaking the deadlock with Putin, starting the dialogue in February when you came in as president in January, but also for everything you did with NATO. The fact that we are now at this 5%, the huge success in The Hague at the NATO summit, the fact that Europeans are also stepping up when it comes to Ukraine, basically the weapons from the US being delivered to Ukraine, paid for by allies, and the Europeans coming together to discuss how can we sustain Ukraine post the peace deal. All of this is evidence of your leadership of pushing the Europeans and the Canadians to do more, to deliver, and to equalize in spending with the US. So on all of this, and today we will talk more on how we can really bring Ukraine to the next phase and get this terrible war, and all the bloodshed ended.
And as you know, we are going to be making a big trip next week. Some of you are going with us. We'll be going to Malaysia, South Korea, and Japan. In South Korea, I'll be meeting with President Xi of China. We'll have a pretty long meeting scheduled. We can work out a lot of our questions and our doubts and our tremendous assets together. So we look forward to that. I think something will work out. We have a very good relationship, but that'll be a big one. We canceled the meeting with President Putin. It didn't feel right to me. It didn't feel like we were going to get to the place we have to get, so I canceled it. But we'll do it in the future. But next week we'll be with many of you in those locations that I told you. Then it's back to Washington. So thank you very much, everybody. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, can you tell us a little bit about why you're elevating sanctions against Russia right now?
I just felt it was time. We've waited a long time. I thought that we'd go long before the Middle East. And Mark, as you know, we did the Middle East plus 7. So we did 7 different wars from Pakistan and India to so many.
Azerbaijan, Armenia.
Which they said was impossible to do. All these wars I did, and the one that we have left, we have 1 left. It'll be 9. We have 1 left, and I think we'll get that done too. I think we're on our way to getting it done.
We have to.
Please.
Mr. President, do you have a timeline for when you think this war is going to be over because of your leadership?
No, I don't have a timeline. You can't have in war. It's hard to have a timeline. You know, so many things happen in war. Go ahead.
What about Tomahawk missiles? Putin is definitely
Well, the problem with the Tomahawk that a lot of people don't know, it'll take a minimum of 6 months, usually a year, to learn how to use them. They're highly complex. So the only way a Tomahawk is going to be shot is if we shot it, and we're not going to do that. But there is a tremendous learning curve with the Tomahawk. It's a very powerful weapon, very accurate weapon, and maybe that's what makes it so complex. But it will take a year. It takes a year of intense training to learn how to use it. And we know how to use it, and we're not going to be teaching other people. It's too far out into the future.
Yes, Mr. President. I saw, Mr. President, that you said as recently as yesterday that you still believe that Putin wants to enter war.
Yeah,
and today
I do.
You took this step to ratchet the sanctions and put more
Yeah.
pressure on him. What else are you going to do to encourage him to get there, or can you explain why you do believe that he wants peace?
Yeah, it's a good question. Today is a very big day in terms of what we're doing. Look, these are tremendous sanctions. These are very big. Those are against their 2 big oil companies, and we hope that they won't be on for long. We hope that the war will be settled. We just answered having to do with the various forms of missiles and everything else that we're looking at, but we don't think that's going to be necessary. We would like to see them just take the line that has been formed over quite a long period of time and go and let's go home. Last week, they had almost 8,000 soldiers killed. Many Russians were killed last week. Many Ukrainians were killed last week. We think it's ridiculous, and would like to have it end.
Why do you think he wants peace, though?
Let's bring on a guest to get some of his analysis on what is going on with Tesla. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve, what's up?
What's going on?
Well, Tesla's going on, but it's not really going up or down. And
yeah, I'm a little surprised it's not down more, to be honest with you.
Did you think it was that bad of a quarter?
Yes. Now, look, I didn't read through the note. I just glanced at the numbers, but yes, this is not good for Tesla.
Okay, so give me your raw thoughts. EPS miss, revenue in line. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is completely raw thoughts, and I may change my mind later, but I don't think I'm going to, because this is the best the auto margins are likely to be for quite some time, considering that you have the regulatory credits becoming extinct in Q4. So they could have pulled a lot of stuff forward. That remains to be seen. I don't think they're going to have as strong as a holiday season as they would have in the past. The energy is very interesting. I actually think the energy numbers were really good on the top line, because as AI and other companies build out more data centers, they're likely to get more battery packs, that type of thing. I don't think they're going to get a big bump in residential solar and power walls, just because it's not going to be as advantageous for people to spend 30, 40, 50 grand to put those systems in. The big thing that I'm looking at right now is their gross margin and operating margin going down. And I don't see how they can get that back up with credits going away. They're going to need to do something else. Robots can't come fast enough. This earnings call is so important. If they botch this earnings call, this is going under 400. If they have a great earnings call, this could go to 475. This is a make or break moment for when they're actually going to start generating real revenue from not just Optimus, but actually doing something with robotaxis and actually explaining what the hell they're going to do with it. Because this is, on the surface, there's a reason why this is not going parabolic right now. And when I do the number, like I'm putting Tesla into my model right now, I mean, $6.83 billion in free cash flow over the TTM. Even if you extrapolate out, even if I was to say, okay, they did $4 billion this quarter, let's just say they match that in the next 4 and they're going to do $16 billion going forward. There's still a $1.4 trillion company. That's not a lot of free cash flow for a market cap of that size. So I don't know.
Do you think
I'm not thrilled?
Is there anything positive you saw, or are the numbers just so egregious that you don't know how to make sense of it?
I need to read through the entire report. Like I said, I just glanced through the numbers, but the numbers that I'm seeing do not justify this market cap. And I'm a Tesla shareholder.
Well, you're not,
Hold on. I
like how you're hedging your bets here, but you're not.
I am back to being a Tesla shareholder through proxy.
Your wife owning one share doesn't mean you're a Tesla
shareholder.
shareholder.
I am still a Tesla shareholder.
Well, I was wondering if this is how mean Steve is to a company he owns. I can't imagine the company he doesn't own, but now I got the proxy there.
Well, look, I love that the free cash flow is up 46%. I don't like that the adjusted EBITDA is down 9% in a quarter where you're not getting regulatory credits back. Like, we know that's not happening. And I don't like the margins are going down. Like, do we think margins are going to get better where they're going to get back to an 11 or 12% operating margin in the next couple of quarters when you're at 5.8? I don't think so.
Okay, so do you think Elon says anything on the call that gets the stock to react in a positive way?
Absolutely. He's got to say, listen, big surprise. Optimus is coming in 2026, and we expect to sell 250,000 units. And then in 2027, we sell 1 million units. And there's such a huge backlog from companies, this won't even be available to the public till 2030. I think if he says that, this goes over 500.
Dude, but the funny thing is, he can say it. And, like, who cares? Like, if it doesn't happen, it's Elon, right? It's like no one's going to say whatever. So he theoretically could say it.
I mean, I want to share my screen. So just give me 1 second. So let me put one more number in this. And I just want to show you how insane this is. So,
no, but like legit, right, guys? He can say anything. And then if it doesn't happen, people will be like, oh, that's Elon, his ambitious timelines. But, like, he can still say it. He can get away with it. He's done it for freaking 15 years now. Like, Tesla Semi is not really here yet.
Correct. So
he doesn't have to deal with the consequences. But he can pump the stock.
Yeah, he can say whatever he wants right now. Because if they don't miss it, it's just another Elon promise that he falls short on. He almost has to say it.
Yeah, and then people will say, well, you know, he's ambitious, he's trying, he's going to change the world. You have to be ambitious. You know, like, excuse me, what type of flavor of milk is that? Is that regular milk?
It's not milk, sir. Don't disrespect the whole milk.
That's whole milk?
No, I said don't disrespect the whole milk. This is peach yogurt. All right?
All right. I thought it was milk the whole time.
Not milk.
He's a yogurt guy.
I'm both. I love whole milk and yogurt. But keep in mind, this is not Tesla's free cash flow. This is me saying, okay, they did 3.9. Let's just say that they happen to do that over the next 3 quarters. They're still at 86 times free cash flow when freaking AppLovin is at 66.5. Intuit is at 30. Freaking Netflix is still at 55. It's just, I don't know. Their real number is, let's give a benefit of the doubt. It's called 7, right? Almost 200 times free cash flow right now on a trailing 12.
But if they can get back to growth, they'll be growing faster than all those companies.
But they're not even spending a tremendous. Here's the problem. You can look at these numbers, be like, okay, Meta's at 37 times, Apple's at 40 times, Alphabet's at 45 times. The difference with the hyperscalers are they're generating over 100 billion in cash from operations, and we all know that they're building out data centers. If they decide, you know what, we're good on data centers, their free cash flow is going to go up by 40 billion overnight.
Right.
So for Tesla to be a $1.4 trillion company right now, generating 7 billion in free cash flow, there is so much growth that is pulled forward right now. He has to come out guns blazing on robots and FSD in order for this to stay here. Like, there's nowhere that this is not going to, this market cap is not expanding without that catalyst.
I'm putting in the chat right here. So, by the way, 72% of you said yes, Tesla should invest in XAI. Do you think Elon will pump the stock with something during the call? Yes or no? There's a world where Elon joins the call and he's bored, he's tired, he's lethargic, he's like not energetic. I mean, that is a very real possibility, like we got for the past couple quarters. Or he might be super excited. Oh yeah, well, this is the hold on, that is true. This is his pay package call, right? This is the call right before he asks everyone to vote for him. Tesla's literally spending money to advertise to get people to vote their shares.
He's going to come out guns blazing, so everybody thinks that, man, they're going to do some awesome things over the next couple of years. He doesn't he can't not do that.
He kind of can't have a bad call here. Like, now granted, he's definitely going to get his comp package approved, in my opinion. It's going to be overwhelming, but still, you want to solidify it.
Yes.
And to do that, you need a good call.
I just don't think the auto business is interesting at this point. The EV craze is not around anymore. I mean, look, this isn't 2021, 2022, where people are going ooh gaga over EVs. It's just not.
Yeah, no one cares.
Nobody cares about EVs anymore.
No
Do you hear people talking about EVs anymore? No.
Nope.
Not at all. So it's energy and it's the future. And I got to tell you, I've been saying this a long time. I do not think that they're going to generate the type of revenue people think they're going to generate from FSD. I think people are discounting Uber so much. They need to play up Optimus, and they need to get Optimus to the forefront ASAP. Is that something? If they generate 5 million bots a year, they're selling 5 million bots a year. They do 10 million bots a year, they're selling 10 million bots a year.
Jose, do you drive a Tesla or no?
Yeah. FSD pretty much everywhere.
How long have you had your Tesla?
I got it April of last year.
Model Y?
Yeah.
Okay, so why'd you buy a Tesla?
Why did I
like? Did you care about the environment or something, or
no? I mean, it was a great pricing compared to everything. Oh, I remember. I had just had my little one, and I needed a family car, and most of my cars were manual and pretty small, so I needed something that can fit the family and also be somewhat fast. So I enjoyed the little bit of performance aspects that came with it, the technology aspect behind it. So those two were the biggest driving force for me. And at the time, you had the great, easy to buy and the great incentives.
Yeah, I mean, I bought it because of FSD, 0% APR, and I was upgrading from a Honda Civic. But it wasn't like, oh my goodness, I want to save the environment. I feel like 2021, 2019, that was the argument around EVs, and that was Elon used to talk about sustainable energy. Like, he doesn't talk about that stuff anymore, you know. So I don't think that's the framing either on EVs in general.
All right, and I would say this was probably one of the first cars that I didn't have like buyer's remorse, where it's like I literally felt like I paid great value for the vehicle.
That I 100% agree with. I think I got a great value for the vehicle, and I like FSD, but there's a lot of people that just don't even know the concept of FSD, and Tesla's not necessarily easily getting them into their ecosystem, just because some of these models are still priced a bit higher. The call should be starting in about 30 seconds. They have the stream up. And yeah, guys, so we'll be listening to it. Again, fair warning, I think it is going to be pretty boring. You're going to get some quotes here or there. The CFO is going to talk for like 30 minutes off a PowerPoint. It's going to be like you could literally go somewhere else and come back until Elon speaks. Elon will give a little bit of the opening remarks. And then once you get to Q&A, you might actually get some real substance of how they're thinking about the business. But first 30 to 40 minutes might not be the most exciting. And then we're going to see from there. Poll in the chat. 68% of you say yes, Elon will pump the stock by saying something. Stock right now is 432, down 1.5%. So 432 is what we're working with in terms of potentially seeing a move higher. Crypto still moving down after hours based on those Trump sanctions as well. So that's still a little red. Oil prices still a bit up. All right, should be starting in about 20 seconds.
Have you tried the new FSD? Did you get the upgrade yet or no?
I still
14.1.
No, I don't have that one yet.
No. Oh, lame.
Do you have it?
Yeah. But my wife's the one that commutes mainly to work. She does like an hour drive each way, and she uses it all the time. I don't know if she's tried if she's noticed anything different. I'll talk to her.
Yeah, I just needed it to stop nagging every time I check my phone, and it's like getting a lot better at that. Again, here are the top line numbers: 50 cents versus 55 cents expected on EPS. Revenue 28.6 versus 26.7. So there was a beat on EPS, or a miss on EPS, and a beat on revenues.
One thing I feel like not many people are talking about, we're talking a lot about FSD, the energy, and Optimus, but it feels like the robo taxi phase kind of or like this craze about it is kind of dying off? Do you think we hear anything about that expansion? I know we saw it in Austin is doing really good, and I think it moves somewhere else as well. I think California. Do you think we hear any more about that?
I think we kind of have to, right? I think we kind of have to. Yeah, I hope we do. I mean, Texas and Nevada is not enough. Like, there has to be a real plan for meaningful expansion. So I would imagine we do hear something. The call is still not starting yet, guys. We are still waiting. They are a couple minutes late. So we are still waiting. But yeah, I do think robotaxi should be something of an expansion. We'll go back to Trump, and as soon as Elon's live, then we'll go to Elon.
Thank you so much. The president of Colombia in a recent interview said that if you won't change, he thinks that people should get rid of you.
We're talking about now Columbia, the country, not the university. Yes. Go ahead. He said what?
He said that if you won't change, then perhaps you need to be gotten rid of. Do you view that as a threat?
Well, he's a thug and bad guy. He's a guy that is making a lot of drugs. We've just, as of today, stopped all payments going to Colombia, the country Colombia. Also, the school Columbia, no, we settled. We made a settlement with him. But no, he's a thug, and he's a bad guy, and he's hurt his country very badly. They're doing very poorly, Colombia. They make cocaine. They have cocaine factories. They grow all sorts of crap that's drugs, bad drugs coming into the United States, goes generally through Mexico. And he better watch it, or we'll take very serious action against him and his country. His country is... What he has led his country into is a death trap. Please.
Has the Secretary General presented his Ukraine peace plan to you? Are you prepared to be chairman of the Board of Peace?
Oh, there is no Secretary General peace plan. But I'm here for, I really want to correct it, because I saw some of that in the media. Of course, many people are thinking how to bring this terrible war to an end, and supporting the president in doing that. Why I'm here is to dialogue again with the president how I can be, how NATO, my colleagues and other colleagues in NATO can be of maximum support to get that done. But there is no peace plan on the table. I mean, if there is a peace plan, it is what the president said last Friday and Sunday, which is stop where you are, stop the fighting.
This is about NATO. We're a very proud member of NATO. We have a great relationship with the countries of NATO. I think made much better by our visit a few months ago when they agreed to 5% instead of 2% of GDP. That was a big concession. I think that was a concession that 2 years ago nobody would have said, even a year ago.
Even 9 months ago, before you were elected.
Yeah, they would have said that's not possible. Absolutely. And the difference is they're paying 5% as opposed to not paying 2%. They were, a lot of them weren't paying, with the exception of Spain. I think you're going to have to talk to Spain, because they're not. Spain is not a team player. So other than Spain, everybody's 100%, and you could solve the Spain problem very easily, I think. You know, if you want. Brian, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. And then we'll take Brian. Go ahead.
The soybean farmers, are they going to be getting support from you soon? And your
yeah, well, they do. So what's happened? You could say with that. You could say with beef. With all of it, the beef, the ranchers, let's say. Who have done a great job, have lost their shirts for many, many years. They've really been decimated. And I helped them a lot. I put tariffs on things coming in.
All right. Call is starting.
Head of Investor Relations, and I'm joined today by Elon Musk, Vaibhav Taneja, and a number of other executives. Our Q3 results were announced at about 3 p.m. Central Time in the update deck we published at the same link as this webcast. During this call, we will discuss our business outlook and make forward-looking statements. These comments are based on our predictions and expectations as of today. Actual events or results could differ materially due to a number of risks and uncertainties, including those mentioned in our most recent filings with the SEC. We urge shareholders to read our definitive proxy statement, which contains important information about the matters to be voted on at the 2025 annual meeting. During the question and answer portion of today's call, please limit yourself to one question and one follow-up. Please use the raise hand button to join the question queue. Before we jump into Q&A, Elon has some opening remarks. Elon?
Thank you. We're at a
critical inflection point for Tesla and our strategy going forward as we bring AI into the real world. I think it's important to emphasize that Tesla really is the leader in real world AI. No one can do what we can do with real world AI. I have pretty good insight into AI in general. I think that Tesla has the highest intelligence density of any AI out there in the car, and that is only going to get better. And we're really just at the beginning of scaling at a quite massively full self-driving and robotaxi, and fundamentally changing the nature of transport. I think people just don't quite appreciate the degree to which this will take off. Where it's honestly it's going to be like a shockwave. So it's a because the cars are all out there. There, we have millions of cars out there that, with a software update, become full self-driving cars, and we're making a couple million a year. And in fact, with the advent of with what we see now as a clarity on achieving full self-driving, unsupervised full self-driving, I should say, I feel confident in expanding Tesla's production. So that is our intent, to expand as quickly as we can our future production. So I was reticent to do that until we had clarity on achieving unsupervised full self-driving. But at this point, I feel like we've got clarity, and it makes sense to expand production as fast as we reasonably can. We're also making huge making a huge impact on the energy sector with battery storage. So with both the Powerwall and especially with the Megapack, we are dramatically improving the ability to generate more energy from the grid. So let me sort of talk a little bit about that, which is, if you look at total U.S. energy capability, for example, there's roughly a terawatt of continuous power available in the U.S., but the average usage over a 24-hour cycle is only half a terawatt because of the big difference between day and night usage. If you buffer the energy with batteries, you can effectively double the energy output of the United States just with batteries, building no incremental power plants. And it's very difficult to build power plants. So they take a long time. There's a lot of permitting, and it's not an industry that's used to moving fast. So we see the potential there for Tesla battery packs to greatly improve the energy output per year for any given grid, US or otherwise. We're also on the cusp of something really tremendous with Optimus, which I think is likely to be, or has potential to be, the biggest product of all time. And it's a difficult project, and it's worth noting that it's not like it's just automatic. I'm unaware of any robot program by Ford or GM or any of our U.S. sort of car companies. People I think maybe think of Tesla as a car company. We mostly make cars and battery packs, but so it's not just like an obvious fall off a log thing to make Optimus, but we do have the ingredients of real world AI and exceptional electrical and mechanical engineering capabilities, and the ability to scale production, which I don't think anyone else has all of those ingredients. So yeah, with version 14 of the of self-driving, which you can see the reactions of people online. They're quite amazed. And actually, anyone in the US can get version 14 if they just go and select, I want the advanced software in their car. So if you're listening right now and you'd like to try it out, just go in settings and say, I want the advanced software, and you will get version 14. Yeah, so on the Megapack front, we unveiled Megablock, Megapack 3. We also have exciting plans for Megapack 4. Megapack 4 will incorporate a lot of what is normally in a substation, and be able to output at probably 35 kilovolts directly. So this greatly improves our ability to deploy Megapack because it's not dependent on building a substation up through 35 kV for Megapack 4. So that'll be that's the engineering priority for Megapack. And we look forward to unveiling Optimus V3. Probably in Q1. I think it'll be ready for to show off, and that I think is going to be quite remarkable. It won't even seem like a robot. It'll seem like a person in a robot suit, which is kind of how we started off with Optimus. But it'll seem so real that you'll need to like poke it, I think, to believe that it's actually a robot. And obviously, like the real world intelligence we've developed for the car, most of that transfers to Optimus. So it's a very good starting point. In conclusion, we're excited about the updated mission of Tesla, which is sustainable abundance. So going beyond sustainable energy to say sustainable abundance is the mission, where we believe with Optimus and self-driving that you can actually create a world where there is no poverty, where everyone has access to the finest medical care. Optimus will be an incredible surgeon, for example. And imagine if everyone had access to an incredible surgeon. So I think there's, of course, we need to make sure Optimus is safe and everything, but I do think we're headed for a world of sustainable abundance, and that I'm excited to work with the Tesla team to make that happen.
Great. Thank you very much, Elon. Vaibhav also has some opening remarks.
Thanks, Travis. Q3 was a special quarter at multiple levels. We set new records not just for deliveries and deployments, but also around a range of financial metrics, from total revenues, energy gross profit, energy margins, to free cash flow. This was the result of continued confidence of our customers in our products and the relentless efforts by the Tesla team. The strength in deliveries was attributed to strong performance across all regions. Greater China and APAC were up sequentially 33% and 29% respectively. North America was up 28%, while EMEA was up 25%. The pace in deliveries was the function of continued excitement around the new Model Y. We had previously talked about 2025 being the year of the Y, and have since delivered on that promise with the new Model Y released in Q1, followed by Model Y long wheelbase and performance, and more recently, Standard Y in North America and EMEA. We're now operating a robotaxi in 2 markets, Austin and most Bay Area cities. We've already expanded our coverage area in Austin 3 times since the initial launch, and are on pace to continue expanding further. Unlike our competitors, our robotaxi fleet blends in the markets we operate in, since they don't have extra sensor sets or peripherals which make them stick out. This is an underappreciated aspect of our current vehicle offerings, which are all designed for autonomous driving. We feel that as people experience the supervised FSD at scale, the demand for our vehicles, like Elon said, would increase significantly. On the FSD adoption front, we've continued to see decent progress. However, note that total paid FSD customer base is still small, around 12% of our current fleet. We're working with regulators in places like China and EMEA to obtain approvals so that we can get FSD in those regions as well. Now, covering a little bit on the financial side, automotive revenues increased 29% sequentially, in line with the growth in deliveries. While regulatory credits declined sequentially, we entered into new contracts and continued delivery on previously entered contracts. Our automotive margins, excluding credits, increased marginally from 15% to 15.4%, which was attributed to improvements in material cost and better fixed cost absorption due to higher volumes. The energy storage business continued to deliver with record deployments, gross profit, and margins. As discussed before, this business has a bigger impact from tariffs as measured by percentage of COGS, since currently all cells procured are from China, while we're still working on other alternatives. However, as the ramp of Mega Factory Shanghai is happening, this is helping us avoid tariffs because we are using this factory to supply the non-US demand. Like Elon said, grid scale storage, the only way we can get to electricity fastest is by using storage. The other thing to keep in mind is we are seeing headwinds in this business given the increase in competition and tariffs. The total tariff impacts for Q3 for both businesses was in excess of $400 million, generally split evenly between them. Services and other demonstrated a marked improvement sequentially. This was a function of improvements primarily in our insurance and service center businesses. Note that while small, our robotaxi costs are included within services and other, along with our other businesses like paid supercharging, used car, parts and merchandise sales, etc. Our operating expenses increased sequentially. The largest increase included in restructuring and other related to certain actions undertaken to reduce cost and improve efficiency through convergence of our AI chip design efforts. Additionally, we incurred legal expenses related to proceedings in certain legal cases, as well as incremental costs incurred in preparation for our shareholder meeting. Such costs are recorded within SG&A. Further, our employee-related spend is increasing, especially in R&D, as we have recently granted various performance-based equity awards to employees working on AI initiatives, and therefore such spend will continue to increase going forward. On other income, our other income decreased sequentially, primarily from mark-to-market adjustments on BTC holdings, which was a much smaller gain of $80 million in Q3 versus $284 million in Q2, with the rest of the movement attributable to FX movements in the quarter. Our free cash flow for the quarter was approximately $4 billion, which was yet another record. Our total cash and investments at the end of the quarter were over $41 billion. On the CapEx front, while we are expecting to be around $9 billion for the current year, we're projecting the numbers to increase substantially in 2026 as we prepare the company for the next phase of growth in terms of not just our existing businesses, but our bets around AI initiatives, including Optimus. In conclusion, note that bringing AI into real world is hard, but we have never shied away from doing what is hard. We are extremely excited about the future and are laying down the foundation, the benefits of which will be realized over years to come. I would like to end by thanking the Tesla team, our customers, our investors, and supporters for the continued belief in us.
Thank you very much, Vaibhav. Now let's go to investor questions. From say.com, the first question is, what are the latest robotaxi metrics, fleet size, cumulative miles, rides completed, intervention rates, and when will safety drivers be removed? What are the obstacles still preventing unsupervised FSD from being deployed to customer vehicles?
All right, Q&A.
I'll start off with that, and then Ashok can elaborate. But we are expecting to have no safety drivers in at least large parts of Austin by the end of this year. So within a few months, we expect to have no safety drivers at all, at least in parts of Austin. We're obviously being very cautious about the deployment. So, our goal is to be actually paranoid about deployment, because obviously even one accident will be front page headline news worldwide. So, it's better for us to take a cautious approach here. But we do expect to have no safety drivers in the car in Austin within a few months. I think that's perhaps the most important data point. And then we do expect to be operating robotaxi in I think about 8 to 10 metro areas by the end of the year. It depends on various regulatory approvals, but you can actually, I think most of our regulatory applications are online. You can kind of see them because they're public information. But we expect to be operating in Nevada and Florida and Arizona by the end of the year. Ashok?
Yeah, we continue to operate our fleet in Austin without anyone in the driver's seat, and we have covered more than 250,000 miles with that. And then in the Bay Area, where we still have a person in the driver's seat because of the regulations, we crossed more than 1 million miles. And we continue to see that the fleet, robotaxi fleet, works really well. Customers are really happy, and there's no notable issues. On the customer side, customers have used FSD Supervised for a total of 6 billion miles as of yesterday. So that's like a big milestone. And overall, the safety continues to be very good. And as Elon mentioned, we are on track to remove the person from inside the car altogether, starting with Austin.
Great. The next question is, what is the demand and backlog for Megapack, Powerwall, solar, or energy storage systems? With the current AI boom, is Tesla planning to supply power to other hyperscalers?
Thanks. Demand for Megapack and Powerwall continues to be really strong into next year. We received very strong positive customer feedback on our Megablock product, which will begin shipping next year out of Houston. And we're seeing remarkable growth in the demand for AI and data center applications as hyperscalers and utilities have seen the versatility of the Megapack product to increase reliability and relieve grid constraints, as Elon was talking about. We've also seen a surge in residential solar demand in the US due to policy changes, which we expect to continue into the first half of 2026 as we introduce the new solar lease product. And we also began production of our Tesla residential solar panel in our Buffalo factory, and we will be shipping that to customers starting Q1. The panel has industry-leading aesthetics and shade performance and demonstrates our continued commitment to US manufacturing.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Unfortunately, the next question is related to future products. This is not the appropriate venue to cover that, so we're going to have to skip it. The question after that is, what are the present challenges in bringing Optimus to market, considering app control software, engineering hardware, training general mobility models, training task-specific models, training voice models, implementing manufacturing, and establishing supply chains?
Yeah, I mean, bringing Optimus to market is an incredibly difficult task. To be clear, it's not like some walk in the park. At some point, I mean, actually, technically, Optimus can walk in the park right now. We do have Optimus robots that walk around our offices at our engineering headquarters in Palo Alto, California, basically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So any visitors that come by, you actually you can stop one of the Optimus robots and ask it to take you somewhere, and it'll literally take you to that meeting room or that location in the building. So I don't want to downplay the difficulty of Optimus. It's an incredibly difficult thing. Especially, it's difficult to create a hand that is as dexterous and capable as the human hand, which is the human hand is an incredible thing. That the more you study the human hand, the more incredible you realize the human hand is, and why you need 4 fingers and a thumb. Why the fingers have certain degrees of freedom. Why the various muscles are of different strengths. The fingers are of different lengths, and it turns out actually that those are all there for a reason. And so making the hand and forearm, because most of the actuator, just like the human hand, the muscles that control your hand are actually primarily in your forearm. The Optimus hand and forearm is an incredibly difficult engineering challenge. I'd say it's more difficult than the rest of, from an electromechanical standpoint. The forearm and hand is more difficult than the entire rest of the robot. But really, in order to have a useful generalized robot, you do need this. You do need an incredible hand, and then you need the real world AI, and you need to be able to scale up that production to have it be relevant, because it's not relevant if it's just a few hundred robots. But so you need to be able to make Optimus robots at volumes comparable to vehicles, if not significantly higher. So if you're trying to make 1 million or something per year, trying to make 1 million Optimus robots per year, that manufacturing challenge is immense, considering that the supply chain doesn't exist. So with cars, you've got an existing supply chain. With computers, you've got an existing supply chain. With a humanoid robot, there is no supply chain. So in order to manufacture that, Tesla actually has to be very vertically integrated and manufacture very deep into the supply chain, manufacture the parts internally, because there just is no supply chain. So this is the kind of thing where I'm like, if I put myself in the position of a startup trying to make a humanoid robot, I'm like, I don't know how to do it without an immense amount of manufacturing technology. So that's why I think like Tesla's in some almost a unique, I think unique position when you consider manufacturing technology scaling, real world AI, and a truly dexterous hand. Those are generally the things that are missing when you read about other robots, that they just don't have those three things. So no, I think we can achieve all those things, those three things, with an immense amount of work, and that is the game plan. So you know, my fundamental concern with regard to how much voting control I have in Tesla is, if I go ahead and build this enormous robot army, can I just be ousted at some point in the future? That's my biggest concern. That is really the only thing I'm trying to address with this. So it's called compensation, but it's not like I'm going to go spend the money. It's just, if we build this robot army, do I have at least a strong influence over that robot army? Not control, but a strong influence. That's what it comes down to in a nutshell. Like, I don't feel comfortable building that robot army if I don't have at least a strong influence.
Great, thank you. We've already covered robotaxi expansion. Unfortunately, the question after that is another future product question, so we're going to have to skip that. The next one, though, is, can you update us on the $16.5 billion Samsung chip deal in Taylor? Given the importance of semiconductors to autonomy in Tesla's AI-driven future, what gives you confidence Samsung can fulfill AI6 at Tesla's timelines and achieve relatively better yields and cost versus TSMC?
Okay, so I'm gonna give quite a long answer to this question because I have to unpack this question and then answer the unpacked version. So first of all, I have nothing but great things to say about Samsung. They're an amazing company, and Samsung, it is worth noting, does manufacture our AI4 computer and does a great job doing that. Now with the AI5, and here's I need to make a point of clarification relative to some comments I've made publicly before, which is we're actually going to focus both TSMC and Samsung initially on AI5. So the AI5 chip design by Tesla is, I think it's an amazing design. I have spent almost every weekend for the last few months with the chip design team working on AI5. And I don't hand out praise easily, but I have to say that I think the Tesla chip team is really designing an incredible chip here. This is, by some metrics, the AI5 chip will be 40 times better than the AI4 chip. Not 40%, 40 times. Because we have a detailed understanding of the entire software and hardware stack. So we're designing the hardware to address all of the pain points in software. So I don't think there really isn't anyone that's doing this, the entire stack, all the way through real world, calibrating against the real world where you've got cars and robots in real world. That, like, we know what the chip needs to do, and we know what, just as importantly, we know what the chip doesn't need to do. To sort of give you some examples here, with the AI5, we deleted the legacy GPU or the traditional GPU, which is it's in AI4, but AI5 does not have. We just deleted the legacy GPU because it basically is a GPU. So we also deleted the image signal processor, and there's like a long list of deletions that are very important. As a result of these deletions, we can actually fit AI5 in a half reticle, and with good margin for the traces from the memory to the trip, the Tesla trip accelerators, the ARM CPU cores, and the PCI X the PCI blocks. So this is a beautiful chip. I've poured so much life energy into this chip personally, and I'm confident this is going to be a winner, next level. So it makes sense to have both Samsung and TSMC focus on AI5. And so even like technically the Samsung fab has slightly more advanced equipment than the TSMC fab. These will both be made in the U.S. In one TSMC in Arizona, Samsung in Texas, but it's we're going to make, starting off, just to be confident of having our goal, explicit goal, is to have an oversupply of AI5 chips. Because if we have too many AI5 chips for the cars and robots, we can always put them in the data center. So we already use AI4 for training in our data center. So we use a combination of AI4 and NVIDIA hardware. We're not about to replace NVIDIA, to be clear, but we do use both in combination, AI4 and NVIDIA hardware. And the AI5 excess production we can always put in our data centers. NVIDIA keeps improving. The challenge that they have is that they've got to satisfy a large range, a lot of requirements from a lot of customers. But Tesla only has to satisfy requirements from one customer. That's Tesla. That makes the design job radically easier, and means we can delete a lot of complexity from the chip. I can't emphasize how important this is. So like when you look at the various logic blocks in the chip, as you increase the number of logic blocks, you also increase the interconnections between the logic blocks. So you can think of it like just highways. Like, how many highways do you need to connect the various parts of the chip? And especially if you're not sure how much data is going to go between each logic block on the chip, then you kind of end up having giant highways going all over the place. It's it becomes an almost impossibly difficult design problem. And NVIDIA's done an amazing job of dealing with almost an impossibly difficult set of requirements. But in our case, we're going for radical simplicity. And the net effect is that I think AI5 will be the best performance per watt, maybe by a factor of 2 or 3, and the best performance per dollar for AI, maybe by a factor of 10. So, that's, we'll have to, the proof's in the pudding. So obviously we need to actually get this chip made and made at scale. But that's what it looks like.
Great. Thank you, Elon. We've already covered unsupervised FSD. So the next question is, instead of trying to replace hardware 3 with hardware 4, why not give an equal incentive to trade in for a new vehicle?
Yeah, we've not completely given up on hardware 3. However, over the last year, we've offered the customers the option to transfer FSD to their new vehicle, which at times we've been running some promotions. If they got FSD, they can get better preferential rates. So we've been definitely taking care of this, but we do want to solve autonomy first, and then we'll come back with a way to take care of these customers. These customers are very important. They were the early adapters. For what it's worth, my daily commuter is a hardware 3 car, which I use FSD on a daily basis. So we will definitely take care of you guys.
Great. Thank you.
In addition, once the V14 release series is fully done, we are planning on working on a V14 Lite version for hardware 3, probably expected in Q2 next year.
Awesome. Thanks, Ashok. Alrighty. Our final question from Say is, how long until we see self-driving Tesla semi-trucks? And could you see this technology replacing trains?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with that in terms of the semi production plan and schedule. So the factory is going on schedule. We've completed the building and are installing the equipment now. We've got our fleet of validation trucks driving on the road. We'll have larger builds towards the end of this year, and then our first online builds in the first part of next year, ramping into the Q2 timing with real volume coming the back half of the year. So that's going quite well, and that's the first step to obviously getting autonomous trucks on the road. In terms of trains, they're really great for long point-to-point deliveries. They're super efficient, but that last mile, the load unload, can be better served for shorter distances with autonomous semis, and that would be great. And so we do expect that to probably shift as we, really, as Elon said, change the way transportation is considered. And so we're looking forward to that timeline. And Ashok, I know you can take the full self-driving part.
Currently, the team is super focused on solving for passenger vehicle autonomy. That said, the same technology will extend quite easily to the semi-truck once we have a little bit of data from the semi-trucks.
Great. And now we will move over to analyst questions. The first question comes from Emmanuel at Wolf. Emmanuel, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Great. Thanks so much. Hi, everybody. So, Elon, you talked about expanding production of vehicles as fast as possible now that you have confidence in the unsupervised autonomy. How should we think about that in the context of your existing capacity of 3 million units? Is that where you're hoping to get volume to? What sort of timeline are we talking about? And would this require, some level of boosting or incentivizing demand? Like, would this basically be prioritizing volume over near-term profitability, given the longer-term opportunity?
Well, our capacity isn't quite 3 million, but it will be 3 million at some point. Aspirationally, it could be 3 million within. We could probably hit an annualized rate of 3 million within 24 months, I think, maybe less than 24 months. Bearing in mind, there's an entire supply chain, a vast supply chain that's got to also move in tandem with that. So But we're gonna expand production as fast as we can, and as fast as our suppliers can sort of keep up with it. And then we're going to think about where do we build incremental factories beyond that. Like the single biggest expansion in production will be the Cybercab, which starts production in Q2 next year. That's really a vehicle that's optimized for full autonomy. It, in fact, does not have a steering wheel or pedals, and is really an engineering optimization on minimizing cost per mile, for like fully considered cost per mile of operation. So that's, you know, for our other vehicles, they still have a little bit of the horseless carriage thing going on, where, you know, obviously if you've got steering wheels and pedals and you're designing a car that people might want to go, you know, do fast acceleration and tight cornering, like high performance cars, then you're going to design a different car than one that is optimized for a comfortable ride, but doesn't expect to go, you know, past sort of 85 or 90 miles an hour, and it's just aiming for a gentle ride the whole time. That's what Cybercab is. Yeah, so it's. Do I think we'll sacrifice margins? I don't think so. I think the demand will be pretty nutty. Like here's the killer app. Really, what it comes down to is, can you text while you're in the car? And if you tell someone, yes, the car is now so good, you can be on your phone and text the entire time while you're in the car. It's anyone who can buy the car will buy the car. And a story. That's what everybody wants to do. In fact, not everyone wants to. They do that, and that's why, in fact, the reason you've seen like there's been an uptick in accidents, pretty much worldwide, is because people are texting and driving. Autopilot actually dramatically improves the safety here, because if somebody's looking down at their phone, they're not driving very well. So that's really the game changer, and you know, we do see, like, at this point, I feel, you know, essentially 100% confident. I say not essentially, 100% confident that we can solve unsupervised full self-driving at a safety level much greater than human. So we've released 14.1. We've got a technology roadmap that's, I think, pretty amazing. We'll be adding reasoning to the car. Our world simulator for reinforcement learning is pretty incredible. When you see it, the Tesla reality simulator, you can't tell the difference between the video that's generated by the Tesla reality simulator and the actual video. It looks exactly the same. So that allows us to have a very powerful reinforcement learning loop to further improve the Tesla AI. We're going to be increasing the parameter count by an order of magnitude. That's not in 14.1. There are also a number of other improvements to the AI, just that are quite radical. So it's this car will feel like it is a living creature. That's how good the AI will get with the AI4 computer. This is before AI5, and then AI5, like I said, is by some metrics 40 times better. Let's just say safely, it's a 10x improvement. So it might almost be too much intelligence for a car. I do wonder, like, how much intelligence should you have in a car? It might get bored. Actually. And then one of the things I thought, like, well, if we've got all these cars that maybe are bored, well, while they're sort of, if they are bored, we could actually have a giant distributed inference fleet and say, like, well, if they're not actively driving, let's just have a giant distributed inference fleet. You know, at some point, if you've got like tens of millions of cars in the fleet, or maybe at some point 100 million cars in the fleet, let's say they had at that point, you know, like, I don't know, a kilowatt of inference capability of, high performance inference capability. That's 100 gigawatts of inference distributed with power and cooling taken with cooling and power conversion taken care of. So that seems like a pretty significant asset.
Great. Thanks, Elon. The next question comes from Adam from Morgan Stanley. Adam, please feel free to unmute yourself. Adam, go ahead and ask your question. Seems like we might be having some audio issues with Adam, so we'll come back to you. The next question will then come from Dan from Barclays.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for taking the question. Elon, I know that Tesla is really focused on with Master Plan 4 bringing AI into the physical world. And I think we've seen over the past, this willingness for Tesla to engage and go into new markets, new TAMs. So when you think about the growth prospects, how do we define the areas that are really within Tesla's core competency versus where do you draw the line for markets or AI applications that are outside of Tesla's core competency?
Actually, I'm not sure what you mean by AI applications outside of Tesla's core competency. But I mean, we didn't have any of these core competencies when we started, So it's like we had 0 core competencies, total competency of 0, actually. So I mean, you can think of Tesla as like, I don't know, a dozen startups in one company. And I've initiated every one of those startups. So it's we didn't used to make battery packs, so stationary battery packs, but now we do. We make them for the home, make them for utility scale with Powerwall Megapack. We created the supercharger network globally. No one else has created a global supercharger network. In fact, that North American supercharger network is so good at that basically every other manufacturer in North America has converted to our standard and uses the Tesla supercharger network. But if it was so easy, why don't they just do it? And the chip design team started that from scratch. The Tesla AI software team was started from scratch. I literally just say, hey, we're going to start this thing. I post it on Twitter, now X, and then join us if you'd like to build it. In fact, Ashok was, I believe, the first person I interviewed for the Tesla Autopilot team, which we now call the Tesla AI software team, because it is the AI software team. So it's core competencies created while you wait. Optimus at scale is the infinite money glitch. It's like it's difficult to express the magnitude of, like, if you've got something if Optimus, I think, could probably achieve 5x the productivity of a person per year because it can operate 24/7. It doesn't even need to charge; it can operate it tethered, so it's plugged in the whole time. That's why I call it like a future of sustainable abundance, where working will be optional. There's a limit to how much AI can do in terms of enhancing the productivity of humans, but there is not really a limit to AI that is embodied. That's why I call it the infinite money glitch.
I mean, one thing which I'll further add is, I mean, people forget, like, our first iteration of Autopilot was 10 years back. So, Elon had started this way back in the day.
We've got the tweets to prove it.
Exactly. And then even on the Optimus side, right, as much as people think, okay, this is a new thing, I still remember, was it 4+ years back, we were in a finance meeting with Elon, and Elon said, hey, our car is a robot on wheels. And that's where we started developing. In fact, most of the engineering team, which is working on Optimus, has come from the vehicle side. And that's why, when we talk about manufacturing prowess, we have the wherewithal because the same engineers who worked back in the day on drive units are working on actuators now. So that's where we can do, if there is any company which can do it at scale, that is going to be us.
But we also have actually added a lot of new engineers as well to the team. So there's actually a lot of the credit for the Optimus engineering is actually also new engineers, many of them that are just out of college, actually.
Yeah.
So the Optimus engineering team is a very talented engineering team. I'd say like, wow, actually. So, the Optimus reviews at this point are there's the engineering review, and then there's the manufacturing review being done simultaneously with an iterative loop between engineering design and manufacturing. Because then we see we design something and we say like, oh man, that's really difficult to make. We need to change that design to make it easier to manufacture. So we made radical improvements to the design of Optimus while increasing the functionality, but making it actually possible to manufacture. Like I'd say Optimus 2 is almost impossible to manufacture, frankly. But to Bob's point, we've gone from a person in a robot outfit to what people have seen with Optimus 2.5, where it's doing kung fu. It was like Optimus was at the Tron premiere, doing kung fu, just out in the open, like with Jared Leto. Like there wasn't nobody was controlling it. It was just doing kung fu with Jared Leto, at the Tron premiere. You can see the videos online. Actually, the funny thing is, like, a lot of people walked past it thinking it was just a person. Even though with Optimus 2.5, you can see that it has a waist that's 3 inches wide, which is obviously not a human. But the movements were so human-like that a lot of people didn't realize they were looking at a robot. So, and what I'm saying is, like, Optimus 3 will be a giant improvement on that, and made it scale. But like I said, a very difficult thing. The Optimus sort of engineering and manufacturing reviews, and there's the Friday night meeting with Optimus, which sometimes goes till midnight, and then my Saturday meeting is the Saturday afternoons with the AI 5 chip design team. So those two things are crucial to the future of the company.
Great. And Dan, did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, just as a related, maybe you could just talk about to what extent are the AI efforts at Tesla and xAI complementary, or are they just different forms of AI? Maybe you could just help distinguish for the audience. Thank you.
Yeah, there are different forms of AI. So the xAI, so Grok is like a giant model that you could not possibly squeeze Grok onto a car. That's for sure. It is a giant beast of a model. It's with Grok, it's trying to solve for artificial general intelligence with a massive amount of AI training compute and inference compute. So, for example, for Grok 5 will actually only run effectively on a GB300. That's how much of a beast that Grok 5 is. Whereas Tesla's, models are, I don't know, maybe about less than 10% the size, maybe closer to 5% the size of Grok. So, yeah, they're really coming at the problem from very different angles. xAI and Grok are they're competing with Google Gemini and OpenAI ChatGPT and that kind of thing. So and some of it's complementary. I mean, for example, for Grok Voice, being able to interact with Grok in the car is cool. Grok for Optimus voice recognition and voice generation is Grok, so that's helpful there. But they are coming at it from kind of opposite ends of the spectrum.
Alrighty, Adam, let's give it another try. When you're ready, please unmute yourself for the next question. Alrighty, unfortunately, still having audio issues. So we're going to move on to Walt from Lightshed. Walt, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Just getting back to Austin, if you can remove the safety driver at year end, is the limitation in the Bay Area just regulatory, or is it kind of the market by market learning process? And I guess similarly in the 8 to 10 markets that you mentioned to get added, is the decision there to put a safety attendant in the passenger seat or the safety driver in? Is that like your step-by-step process to opening up a market, or is it really just the regulation in the individual market?
Well, I think even if the regulators weren't making us do it, we'd still do that as the sort of right sort of cautious approach to a new market. So just to make sure that we're being paranoid about safety, I think it makes sense to have a sort of either safety driver or safety occupant in the car when we first go to new markets to confirm that there's not something we're missing. Because all it takes is like 1 in 10,000 trips to go wrong, and you've got an issue. So it's just to make sure, like, is there some peculiarity about a city, like a very difficult intersection, or I don't know, something that's an unexpected challenge in a city for that 1 in 10,000 situation. And I think we probably could just let it loose in these cities, but we don't want to take a chance. And like, what we're talking about here is maybe 3 months of safety driver in a new metro to confirm that it's good, and then we take the safety driver out, that kind of thing.
Okay, and then on FSD 14, it has a different feel than 13, and it's also, I think, a little different than what it feels like in Austin. Is it basically different development path that you're doing in terms of the robotaxi stuff versus what you're dropping to the early adopters? And when you push these new builds, is it that you're looking for notable improvements in intervention rates, or is that largely solved and it's more about adding the functionality like the parking, the drive modes, or just the overall comfort?
No, the first priority when we release a major new software architecture for Autopilot is safety. So it starts off with safety, obviously safety prioritized, and then we solve comfort thereafter, which is why I don't recommend people take the initial version. Like that's why I say, like, most people should wait until 14.2 before they actually download version 14, because by 14.2 we will have addressed many of the comfort issues. The priority is very much safety first, and then thereafter the comfort issues. That's why most people, I'm like, it'll be a little, like, it'll be safe but jerky. We just need time to kind of smooth the rough edges and solve for comfort in addition to safety with a major news Autopilot architecture change. But it really is. I mean, I know what the roadmap is for the Tesla real world AI, and at a very granular detail. Obviously, Ashok is leading that, and I mean, I spent a lot of time with the team going, in like excruciating detail here on what we're doing to improve the real world AI, like I said, this car is going to feel like it is a living creature, and that's with AI 4 before even AI 5.
Yeah, the roadmap is super exhilarating. Like it's like so like waiting so much like release all the stuff we are working on in terms of like what we ship to customers versus robotaxi. It's mostly the same. Obviously, customers have some more features like they can choose the car wants to park in a spot or drive or something like that, which is not super relevant for robotaxi. But there's only like a few minor changes like those ones. But the majority of the algorithms and architecture, everything is the same between those two platforms.
Yeah, but and as I mentioned earlier, like we'll be adding reasoning to I don't know, Ashok, is that like reasoning in like 14.3, maybe 14.4, something like that?
Yeah, 3 or 4 by end of this year for sure.
Yeah. So with reasoning, it's literally going to think about which parking spot to pick at the. So it's going to say this is the entrance, but actually probably there's not a parking spot right at the entrance. If it's a full, if the parking lot is fairly full, the probability of an open parking spot right at the entrance is very low. But actually, what it'll simply do is drop you off at the entrance of the store and then go find a parking spot. But it's going to get very smart about figuring out a parking spot. It's going to it's going to spot empty spots much better than human. It's got 360-degree vision, and it's going to, like I said, just it's going to use reasoning to solve things.
And fitting that all inside the computer that has AI4 is the actual challenge. That's what the team is working on. Because obviously you can do reasoning on the server that takes forever, but then in car you need to make real-time decisions. So fitting all that into the computer that's in the car, that's the challenge.
Yeah, that's why I say I have a pretty good understanding of like AI, the sort of the giant model level with Grok and with Tesla, and like I'm confident in saying that Tesla has the Tesla AI has the highest intelligence density. When you look at the intelligence per gigabyte, I think like Tesla AI is probably an order of magnitude better than anyone else. And it doesn't have any choice because that AI has got to fit in the AI4 computer. But the discipline of having that level of AI intelligence density will pay great dividends when you go to something that has an order of magnitude more capability like AI5. Now you have that same intelligence density, but you've got 10 times more capability in the computer.
Great. The next question will come from Colin at Oppenheimer. Colin, please unmute yourself when you're ready. Colin, go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate you bringing up the challenges of hand dexterity in humanoids, along with the complexity of the supply chain and the vertical integration you guys are pursuing. I'm just trying to harmonize the timeline for the start of production, next year with the current state of the supply chain and what sounds like a fair amount of work remaining on the dexterity before you can really freeze the hardware design and start to scale up production.
Well, the hardware design will not actually be frozen even through startup production. There'll be continued iteration because a bunch of the things that you discover are very difficult to make. You only find that pretty late in the game. So we'll be doing rolling changes for the Optimus design even after startup production. But I do think that the new hand is an incredible piece of engineering. And that's well, like I said, we'll have a production intent prototype ready to show off in Q1, probably February or March, and then we're going to be building a million unit Optimus production line. Hopefully with a production start towards the end of next year. But that production ramp will take a while to get to annualized rate of 1 million because it's going to move as fast as the slowest, dumbest, least lucky thing out of 10,000 unique items. But it will get to 1 million units, and then ultimately, we'll do Optimus 4. That'll be 10 million units. Optimus 5 maybe 50 to 100 million units. I mean, it's really pretty nutty. Yeah.
Alrighty. That is unfortunately all the time we have for Q&A today. Before we conclude, though, Vaibhav has some closing remarks.
Thanks, Travis. I want to take the time to talk about an extremely important vote, which is being held on November 6th. The meeting will shape the future of Tesla, and we are asking you, as our shareholders, to support Elon's leadership through the 2 compensation proposals and the re-election of Ira, Kathleen, and Joe to the board. Note that it is a team sport, and here at Tesla, the board is an integral part of the winning team. Shareholders are at the center of everything we do at Tesla, and a special committee has laid out a compensation package. Like Elon said, we don't even want to call it a compensation package.
Yeah, it's not. The point is that I just like there needs to be enough voting control to give a strong influence, but not so much that I can't be fired if I go insane. But and I think that sort of number is in the mid-20s approximately. As a company that has already gone public, we've investigated every possible way to how do you achieve increased voting control without is there some way to have like a super voting stock? But there really isn't. There is no way to have a super voting stock after you've gone public. But for example, Google, Meta, many other companies have this, but they had it before they went public, and so it sort of gets, I guess, grandfathered in. Tesla does not have that, so it's just like I said, I just don't feel comfortable building a robot army here and then being ousted because of some asinine recommendations from ISS and Glass Lewis who have no friggin' clue. I mean, those guys are corporate terrorists. And the problem, so let me explain the core problem here is that so many of the index funds, the passive funds, vote along the lines of whatever Glass Lewis and ISS recommend. Now, they've made many terrible recommendations in the past that, if those recommendations had been followed, would have been extremely destructive to the future of the company. But if you've got passive funds that essentially defer responsibility for the vote to Glass Lewis and ISS, then you can have extremely disastrous consequences for a publicly traded company if too much of the publicly traded company is controlled by index funds. It's de facto controlled by Glass Lewis and ISS. This is a fundamental problem for corporate governance because they're not voting along the lines that are actually good for shareholders. That's the big issue. I mean, that's what it comes down to. ISS, Glass Lewis, corporate terrorism.
Yeah, and I would say, the special committee did an amazing job in constructing this plan for the benefit of the shareholders. There's nothing which gets passed on till the time shareholders make substantial returns. So that's why, in the end, I would urge you to not only vote on the plan, but also vote on all the 3 directors because of their exceptional knowledge and experience. And literally, we at Tesla work with these directors day in, day out. I mean, there is not even a single day that one of the directors I haven't spoken to or one of my colleagues hasn't spoken to. And even the directors out here are not just reading out of PowerPoint presentations. They're actually working with us day in, day out. So again, I just urge you guys as shareholders to vote along the board's recommendation. Thank you, guys.
Great. Thank you, Vaibhav. We appreciate everyone's questions today. We look forward to talking to you next quarter. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Still awake, Matt?
I think I yawned like 5 times.
You yawn pretty freaking big.
Yeah, that was a lot of yawning.
Oh my God, this was freaking ridiculous.
What do you think? What are your raw thoughts? There's a couple things to get into, but what did you take away from that?
I mean, look, I think they should have taken the mic away from him at certain points, especially with the corporate terrorist part. I do agree with him on some of the things that he said. You know that I've had this stance with index funds that I don't believe BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard should be allowed to vote those shares because they're just a custodian. I mean, every dollar that I have in an S&P fund, technically that's my money. So for every 100 grand in an S&P fund, if Tesla's 2% of that, why is Vanguard or BlackRock able to vote those shares when it's not technically their money because somebody could just move the money out? So he has a point there, but this is not the forum for that. He needed to get the street excited and the shareholders excited about FSD and Optimus, and he didn't do it. And with where margins are going and with their profitability and with credits coming off, I just think he needed to really go down the hole about Optimus. And he tried to, but he did it in a weird way. Almost like they're not going to be able to have enough production. Maybe he doesn't want to build out a full army of robots. It's like, what are you saying? Like, this is your freaking future, your company, and you're trying to tie it to your comp package. It's just, I don't know.
What did you think about the sales pitch at the end about voting in favor?
I don't think he even needed to say anything. What, people Tesla shareholders aren't going to vote for this?
Yeah, it'd be hard to imagine that.
I just don't think it's something that needed to be said. I think he needed to focus on the future and talk about Optimus and talk about FSD. I'm not an FSD fan, but they needed to talk about something because I got to tell you, I think Q4 car sales are not going to be good comparatively because you're not going to have the regulatory credits.
Wait, but you don't think he pumped Optimus enough? I mean, he did. He talked about the dexterity of the hand and how challenging it would be.
He said that before. He hasn't said what their scale on it's going to be, how many they're going to sell next year, what the backlog is. He doesn't have to say companies, but he can say, listen, every big manufacturer or every big company that has warehouses has already contacted us. They can't wait for it. We're planning on getting to 1 million robots by this year. Not this year, but you know what I mean when I say this year, 2029, 2030. We're planning on ramping to get production to this level, and every robot's accounted for that we produce. Like, he's given so much stuff about FSD that has not come true. At least provide us with a roadmap on Optimus.
Yeah, I mean, it is weird that he didn't just say that we have major warehousing companies, logistic companies reaching out to us, which I would imagine, like, to not lie about that, all you have to do is have a conversation with any one of these companies, and they're all going to pick up if Elon Musk wants to have a conversation, and just have a simple, hey, are you guys interested in robots? If they say yes, boom, you're allowed to say what you just. They don't have to say, oh, we're definitely buying. They're just like, no, we'd be interested when you guys have the robots ready. And then Elon can go on the earnings call and say, dude, I just talked to 17 different companies that employ 3 million people in Brazil. They all want robots. And that I think really does get the streets like, well, some of the parts, we put the valuation from the robots here, assume these operating margins, and then boom, you might get some upgrades. But he talked about the hand. As like, no one gives a shit about the hand. No one cares about the hand, no one cares. No one cares. And so I agree with you. Like, there really wasn't a pump on the idea of the robot at all.
And then how about don't go down the road of working is going to be optional? Like, come on.
Okay, so this stuff, so he tweeted this yesterday that no one will need a job because AI will replace everything and it will be optional.
Don't go down that rabbit hole right now. You're just going to freak people out.
No, I agree with you. It is going to freak people out. You're not relating to the common person by saying your job's going to go away. And then C, it's like, why are you saying that on earnings call? That all jobs are going to be gone?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with earnings. Just talk about what these robots can do, when you're going to get them to market, and how everyone's accounted for.
Yeah, I agree. Someone says, what do you mean no one cares about the hand? I mean, no one cares about the hand. Like, Wall Street doesn't give a shit about the hand. They care about orders. They care about purchase orders.
Right. And look, dexterity in a hand is very important to do tasks of a carpenter or electrician. You can have, I mean, I guess a C-clamp style is not necessarily the right thing, but you could have like a U-style hand in the beginning that can just clamp something to move it around for a factory. You don't need a perfect dexterity hand with 5 fingers off the bat for the remedial orders.
My point is, like, I don't think the millions of shareholders that buy Tesla care about the dexterity of the hand. They just care that it works and you can ship the freaking robot.
And people want them.
Yeah. And so again, because it's not ready for prime time yet, to your point, you have to give people the illusion, just like he's been doing for FSD for 10 years, that it's going to eventually happen. And I don't think I got that today. I got more conversations about the dexterity of the hand that I really don't think people care about.
Yeah, just give us a 5-year roadmap. He's allowed to be wrong. Give us a 5-year roadmap on it. I mean, obviously he's been wrong on FSD.
Well, okay, so let's talk about that. I mean, look, unsupervised is not here yet, but he did say the litmus test for us is that if you can text in the car, then everyone will buy the car. What do you think about that?
Yeah, good luck with that.
I actually think he's right about this. You're telling me you wouldn't buy a Tesla if you can text and not have to worry about driving or get work done on your laptop or something?
In order for me to go buy a Tesla, which will happen at some point, I have to be able to sleep, work on a laptop. It can't be that every 30 seconds I have to look up. So confident that you can text while you're in the driver's seat. I mean, that's not necessarily saying that it's 100% FSD 100% of the time. So if he had made that clear that you could do work on a laptop or take a nap, I think that would have been a much different statement. Maybe that's what he meant to say.
No, I think that's the meta. I think texting in the car is a metaphor for you can do whatever the hell you want. The car will function.
I think that if they do that and that gets passed and you get through the regulatory hurdles, I think it becomes the #1 selling car in the country.
Okay, so then there you go. That's like one of the bright parts of this call.
And you know that I've said that from the beginning. But to me, that's the barrier to entry.
Yeah, and so I think that was more optimistic for me than the conversation about Optimus, because Optimus conversation got very technical about the hand, and I think it put people to sleep. But when he said, we are confident that you will be able to text in the car and not worry. I mean, look, it's still going to be an expensive car, but it's going to get a lot more people to say, well, I can justify it by doing work in the car and et cetera, et cetera.
I just wish that he was a little bit more clear on what you can do, not just texting. Because look, texting is 20 seconds per text, like I would have rather him say, listen, you can take a nap. Like, you're good. Full self-driving will be here, and we're going to roll it out to this place, this place, this place. And this is the 5-year roadmap of how we're going to get it in the 30 largest cities and metropolitan areas in the country. But they're not giving us that type of detail.
What did you think about this whole, we're going to replace NVIDIA chips in a certain part of the supply chain with our partnership with Samsung? Kind of pseudo saying Dojo's back. I was kind of confused the whole time.
I mean, he kind of retraced on that a little bit when he started talking about how they can utilize both in the data centers, and if they have extra, they'll just throw them in the data centers, but they're still going to need the NVIDIA chips, and NVIDIA has a lot of different points that they need to hit with the chips because all different customers, where Tesla only needs to worry about one customer. Yeah, it's the same thing as Amazon and Alphabet. They're building their own TPUs. I mean, it's nothing new.
I was just kind of confused at that moment because I didn't know exactly what he was trying to say. I think he was trying to stress the focus of the partnership with Samsung. And it's not like he was trying to, talk bad about NVIDIA. He was just trying to say that their general purpose GPU cannot solve the specific FSD workload that they're working on, which is why they signed that $16 billion deal.
The NVIDIA GPUs are for training. They're not necessarily for the specific workloads that he's going to need it for. So, yeah, fine.
It's almost like he said we're building our own custom ASIC. That's kind of what I got from it, which is...
I don't know. I mean, what's it doing? You have the live stuff open. What's it doing right now?
424.
Okay.
It's down 3%. Look, this was not a bearish quarter in my opinion, because this is, I think, what a lot of people expected. Yeah, they had a bit of an EPS miss, but like outside of that, like, all right, Tesla's back where it was last Tuesday. Like,
did they give guidance for next year?
No.
I'm sorry, not next year, next quarter.
I don't think so. I don't think they ever give guidance for the next quarter like that. So no, we didn't get any guidance. But look, cash flow was better than expected. EPS was worse. Revenue was okay. I mean, your point about Q4 sucking because they're not going to have the regulatory credit, I do think shouldn't be understated. Like, even if
I could be wrong, energy could absolutely outperform and offset the potential for the automotive revenue declining, but it's a fact that the regulatory credits for auto ended in September.
Yeah, and look, if rates come down, that'll be a tailwind, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get that many people to buy the way they got them to buy in Q3, because the incentive on that $7,500 was like a really big reason people bought. Maybe the new cheaper models potentially could help as well, but we're gonna have to see. Engineering adjacent, thank you for the gifted 5 memberships. Appreciate you being here, and thank you for the memberships as well. Where do you think the stock goes, Steve, towards the end of the year? I mean, do you think tomorrow this thing tanks, or it's enough that he said enough?
I think if it didn't tank tonight, I think it's going to kind of go sideways from here on out for the rest of the year. I mean, look, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to 500 or 350. I don't think it's going past either one of those sides. I just think it's going to bounce around right now.
I think that's a win too. This thing was stuck at 300.
100%. This could have been a lot worse.
Yeah. And the call, I think, had less. Okay, the other part that was annoying about the call is they didn't answer any of the questions that mattered from retail investors.
No.
Right? Like they're like, oh, first of all, why would you say publicly to millions of investors, we are going to skip over the next question because it's about future products? You don't have to say that. Just don't say anything. Just move on to the next question. Like, it was so weird. Like, okay, you guys get to answer what this is your call. You're not legally obliged to answer any question. There's a lot of companies that don't take any questions at all from shareholders, institutions. So the fact that they announced, hey, this is a future product update, we're not going to answer this, is just like a slap in the face versus just move on. Don't even acknowledge it. So I thought that was just weird and a bit cringe. And I don't know why they're even acting like that, especially because the shareholder meeting is coming up so soon, right? It's like not previewing it doesn't make sense. Yeah, the skips were all important questions. If you look at, say, technologies, all the skips were the shit that people actually cared about.
Here's the problem. If Q4 comes in and it's not better than Q3 when you're in the holiday season, that's going to be a problem for Tesla. Like, they need Q4 to be larger revenue.
What was Tesla Q4 2024?
It was less than Q3.
It was 495,000 cars and 11 gigawatts of energy. So they've got to beat.
And look what happened. And look what happened before the whole tariff war. Look at a 1-year chart of Tesla. Look what happened after they reported through the end of January, beginning of February. It fell off a cliff.
Oh yeah, that was 480 down to freaking 270. Yeah.
And that's before all the tariff stuff. It's because one of the reasons Q4 was weaker than expected. It was weaker than Q3. You didn't get the holiday bump in sales. I mean, and when I say total revenue, I'm talking about the auto revenue. Energy helped the total revenue just squeak out a couple $100 million more on total, but vehicle revenue declined quarter over quarter in Q4 2024. Yeah. And I'm worried you're going to see that again.
Yeah, that is something definitely to watch out for Q4. Maybe rate cuts can somewhat help.
I love how people say that we don't understand Tesla. Love it. It's like, guys, they do $7 billion in free cash flow. Like if they extrapolate that out based on this quarter, okay, they'll do 16 billion over the next 12 months. That's a speckle for a company that's valued at $1.3 trillion. Like they have to get FSD and Optimus to market immediately.
I also think it's silly because everyone knows that Tesla's more than a car company. And everyone knows that Tesla trades at an incredible premium against the market, against things like NVIDIA, even though they're not growing. And everyone's willing to say that Tesla deserves, because I think at least you and I believe in Elon, we believe in his vision, we believe that eventually believe in the future, believe that, you know, so like no one's saying that the stock deserves to go to $200, but it's not a good quarter in terms of the actual numbers. And the question then becomes, if this was not a good quarter, what happens to Q4? And
I mean, we forgot about the diner. Maybe they can sell burgers.
Maybe the burgers help out.
I mean, if they open one near me, I'll go there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no point to be ideological about it. I mean, Tesla's a phenomenal company. Elon's a phenomenal leader. But like at the end of the day, they're not in the position of growth that they were in 2019. And that's okay. But you have to call a spade and acknowledge it.
Yeah, remember,
the fact that they're holding a $1.5 trillion market cap and not growing. I mean, like people need to be grateful for where the stock trades at.
And look, everybody needs to remember, Elon has done something nobody else would have been able to do. And I don't make definitive statements. Nobody else could have went up against the auto companies and won. He did. Okay. And he did with an electric vehicle. So got to give him a ton of credit. The guy's accomplished more than almost anybody ever. And it's not a knock on Tesla. It's just for the future of Tesla to be bright, what all the shareholders want it to be. You need to see a 5-year plan on Optimus, and they need to deliver on it. And they need to deliver FSD to market in the major metropolitan areas. If they don't do that, it's going to be difficult for them to get to 5 and 10 trillion market cap. And I don't think there's anything unreasonable with that statement.
If anyone thinks what you said is unreasonable, I don't know. I think they're in a fairy tale around this company. Like this is a $1.5 trillion company that's not growing, that's trading at 200 times free cash flow because of how much people love and believe in the vision. Like the fact that people are willing to give it that premium on no growth just means that you kind of sit back and let the story play out, which is, I think, how most Tesla investors think of it. But you also have to be honest with yourself and say, okay, I'm not going to touch it. It's just going to sit in that corner in the next 10 years. Hopefully it's bigger. But in the short term, there are some headwinds that it's dealing with.
Yeah, it would have been nice also if along the way Tesla was a holding company of SpaceX and of XAI and Neuralink, or at least was a seeding capital or seed investor in the capital rounds. Like the fact that Tesla doesn't have that on the balance sheet is weird.
That's always been weird. I don't understand why Tesla's not a holding company for a bunch of Elon's other businesses. I really don't get it. I genuinely think it's because he never had full control over Tesla, so he never wanted, if he got kicked off, some random schmuck to be able to get ownership over SpaceX, right?
Could you imagine if it was a holding company for those companies? It would be more talked about than Berkshire as a holding company at that point.
Dude, if Tesla owned, let's call it 10% of each of his startups.
I'd say a little more for what I just said to happen, but yes, I'm with you.
20% of SpaceX?
Yeah, 25% of SpaceX, boring Neuralink and freaking XAI.
Bro, Google owns more SpaceX than Tesla.
Which is crazy.
That is kind of crazy. Like, that is actually crazy.
Come on.
That is wild.
Look, I want Tesla to do well. I want everybody to do well on this. And I want Tesla to succeed because if Tesla succeeds, that means the US succeeds and Americans succeed. I just think that they need to bring these two main drivers of future revenue to market quicker. It doesn't seem like there is a real plan to get nationwide FSD out there anytime soon.
Look, I don't want to agree with that, but the reason I do agree is because these new cheaper models, I thought the goal was get them super cheap, get people hooked onto FSD and scale. That's not, dude. Most people that buy a Tesla don't even know it can drive itself. Like there's a
$22,000 to $24,000 models, and then they were going to pay a couple $100 a month for FSD. That's what I thought the idea was.
Like if the car costs you $35,000 to make, and you sell it for $25,000, and you lose $10,000 on the car, but FSD is whatever, a couple $100 a month, or 8,000, 10,000 full time over the lifetime of the services that you can provide, you will make up that money at scale. And you will, and then when someone flips on their car to be a robotaxi, then it really makes up that money as billions and billions of miles are driven across the world in the robotaxi network. But you need tens of millions of cars. Uber has that because, you know, Uber has millions and millions of drivers on the network. Tesla doesn't have that yet. And I think that is the vision for robots. Also, this whole idea that, you know, there's 7 million Teslas on the road. Not everyone's going to flip the on button on the robotaxi. Nope. Not everyone's going to do that. Like, I kind of want to keep my car to myself. I don't want some random.
If I go buy a Tesla, nobody's getting in it that I don't know. Period.
There's people dismiss that point, but there's a lot of people that like the privacy of owning their
own car.
There's
a lot of people that are not going to let their personal vehicle go out and drive people around.
Yes. So then you need as many vehicles as possible on the road, which means you need the car to get cheap enough for people to buy it. And these new models are not cheap. And I was very surprised 2 weeks ago when I saw the prices for that. I was just like, how is this supposed to give us an uptick in volume at all?
I don't know.
Also, personal vehicles have a exclusion for livery on insurance. Yeah, well, the insurance debate. Don't get Steve started on the insurance debate. That is.
Oh, I'll go down the rabbit hole if you want for 2 minutes.
That's a whole nother question on insurance.
Yeah, we look the very short answer.
Hold on. People saying get Farzad in here to debate Steve. No, Steve is not. Some of the Tesla investors need to stop being so unbelievably emotional. You're acting like Steve is saying the stock deserves to go to $50. Like, there's no debate that needs to be had. What are we talking about? Debate. You're acting like Steve hasn't analyzed this company for the past 5 years. You think he doesn't understand the way this operates? He might have a different perspective than Farzad, but this is not some Tesla bull, Tesla bear. Like, people try to make it so competitive on this stock, and it's like, can't we just talk about the numbers and what's happening?
You know what's crazy? You guys could freaking go on X and freaking blow up Elon and tag me in it, and I'll say the same shit to Elon directly. Like, I'm not changing my viewpoint. It's an amazing company, and no other car company has been able to do what it's done. And no other person has been able to achieve what Elon's achieved. But in order for the market cap to continue to grow, you need these future products to start hitting the market. Like, I don't know why people can't see that. The car market is not going to get any easier for them.
Also, Farzad thinks Uber is going to zero. So you have vastly different perspectives on this. I don't think Uber is going to zero, and neither does Steve. Farzad he's been on my channel multiple times, and he said Uber is going to zero. So when you're talking about having a debate, you have two people with totally different perspectives that don't necessarily need to debate because there's not a debate about this. It's just a different angle.
I'm not bearish Tesla. Like, I'm neutral Tesla. I don't know why. Like, the whole definition of neutral Tesla is it goes sideways. Like, that's neutral. Like, I'm not saying it's going down. Like, I don't know why people can't understand this.
Yeah. Also, if you can't objectively analyze your investment, I mean, like, what's the point of being an investor at that point? Like, I've criticized Palantir, I've criticized Hood. Like, it's like, you're supposed to be able to critique your investments if they have not the best quarter, not the best. I mean, dude, if Robinhood was growing negative 30% year over year, they would not be trading at these levels. If Palantir was growing at negative 30%, Tesla's growing at negative 30% and is holding the types of multiples they're holding. That is a blessing for this stock. And that's just facts. That's not political. That's not disrespectful. That's not biased. That is just a fact. For a stock to be trading at these multiples, showing zero growth and going into a Q4 where they don't have a tailwind of an EV regulatory credit, like, objectively, it is pretty damn amazing that it's trading at these levels. That's okay to understand.
And keep in mind, and Amit will tell you if I'm lying or not. I've said in the past multiple times, When Optimus is available for public, I'm buying one. When a Tesla can drive me around and I can go to sleep, I'm buying one. Have I not said that multiple times? Like, I'm even saying I'm going to buy the product. Like, I want these products to come out.
Yeah, look, I am invested in 2 private robot companies. I really believe in the humanoid robotic thesis. I've been talking about it for a year. And so does Steve.
Robotics is the future.
It's just not here yet. That's all. It's just not here yet. And that's okay. But like that's just being honest. No one's saying we don't believe in it. Well, in fact, we're trying to figure out how Elon could have framed the message around Optimus to get people more excited without lying about it. And that's not what we heard from him, which is
no, we heard him more concerned about his comp package, which is not necessarily what you want to hear a CEO say. Because he's almost holding it hostage at that point. Because if he doesn't get the comp package, then what's his incentive? Like, is he going to leave? It's just, I don't know. He could have communicated a lot better.
I do think he was afraid that I think he knows he'll definitely get the votes, but I do think he's afraid there is an off chance he doesn't. And if he doesn't, what does he do? Right? Because then he's just like, he's not leaving, in my opinion, but he would probably be just bought $1 billion worth of Tesla stock. He doesn't want to leave. Right? But
$1 billion for him is not necessarily a huge amount of money.
But I don't know if he actually spent $1 billion or if he borrowed against something else to buy. So it's he's got to retain his ownership.
And then look, if he doesn't get the comp package and he stays, does he slow roll Optimus then? Because he's afraid of.
Yeah, I think his incentives would be severely dampened if he doesn't get the compensation package. Which is why he needs the comp package. Again, I know people have different perspectives, but if he's going to get $1 trillion and you're going to get a 10x and maybe you put 200 grand into Tesla, you will get 2 million. Okay, you won't have $1 trillion, but you will have 2 million. You will still
Bring up what Rob said. I don't want to build a robot army if I don't have control. So comp package or no Optimus. Like he said that on the call. We all heard it.
He did spend a decent amount of time talking about the robot army. That is correct.
So I'm neutral. I want Tesla to succeed. I want these products to come out. I'm a buyer of the products when they do come out. I just wish that we got a 5-year timeline on Optimus, and I wish that we got more clarity around when they think that they're going to be in at least the 10 largest metropolitan areas in the U.S. for FSD.
Yeah, and here's the thing. So Sunil says no one is talking about how crazy good V14 is. So first of all, I'm going to try V14 because Elon said anyone can download it. So I'm going to go to my Tesla and see if I can download it. But number 2, I think that's the problem. No one's talking about it because there's not distribution for V14. First of all, it's not unsupervised, which would really ramp up the distribution, as Elon said. Number 2, they don't have enough volume of vehicles because the cars are still relatively expensive. And the cheaper models aren't making it less expensive. So you're not getting people every day downloading FSD. So until they figure out the distribution aspect, either through robotaxi and expansions, as Steve was saying, or straight up, Elon comes out and says, unsupervised is here. You can text in the car. Here's the pre-order to buy the car. Until that moment happens, who cares how good V14 is? It's not going to make a tangible difference on the growth of the company until unsupervised happens, and unsupervised is the precursor for distribution of robotaxi across the world. And by the way, there's still a regulatory hurdle for that, right? Like the idea that you can just text in your car and have, that still has to be approved by the government that people in this vehicle using this software are allowed to not have their eyes on the road. Because right now it is a crime. If you, I got pulled over a couple months ago because I was checking my phone. And it was taking it for 2 seconds, but the cop happened to be there, and I was like, all right, I got pulled up, right? Still a crime.
You also need insurance carriers to put an exclusion on the policy to allow that, because if they don't, and you are using FSD and you get into an accident, and let's just say you get into an accident and it's not your fault because somebody rear-ends you, but your policy doesn't allow you to use FSD, you're likely to be at fault. So
Yeah.
keep in mind that you still need the insurance companies to sign on to this.
And that's
Now,
that's not
maybe. So what I was going to say to follow up with that is on the insurance side, and I actually do know what I'm talking about on the insurance side. So if the major companies don't allow it, that'll create a void for somebody to step in and take a winner take most approach. So there will be an insurance company that allows it. Okay. So don't get me wrong. At some point there will, because if State Farm and Liberty and all the big ones don't, you'll see somebody else because they'll be able to make money on it. You'll still have to switch your insurance and make sure that your insurance policy allows it. Otherwise, you're really not going to be able to use it, because if something goes wrong, you're not going to be covered. So keep that in mind also.
Yeah, and as you're saying, because there will be a gap in the market, it will be solved. It's just that is also down the line. That's not happening tomorrow. And if that doesn't happen anytime soon, like why should the stock have some greater premium baked into it? I don't know. And look, dude, it is a real thing. Like I thankfully just got a ticket and had to pay $50. I didn't get any points on my license or anything. But like what Elon was saying was a big deal. A lot of people want to check their phone when they're driving, especially people that have to work or get to send a message or something. And unfortunately, if you happen to be checking it, even if you're at a red light and a cop is nearby, you get pulled over. It's like if they find you, and they're looking for, in New Jersey in particular, they have various laws about how serious it is to not check your phone when you're driving. And the cops don't mess around with that. So that's why I agree with Elon. It would be a massive motivator for people to buy a Tesla if they could have the software that requires them to not worry about it. But it feels like that's not happening next year. And if it does, that's super cool.
A lot of people spend 40 minutes to an hour driving each way to work. If you have FSD, that's a big motivator to get a Tesla. You can get an extra hour's sleep in the morning. You can get work done on the way home. I mean, that would be a motivator for me to go buy a Tesla.
I think it would be motivators for a lot of people. No, there's no other passengers in the car. It was just me. It was just driving. I was only going to the grocery store, bro. This was like back in May. And, the cop just happened to be there. But I usually, I mean, I've gotten pulled over maybe one other time in my life. So he let me go because I have a pretty good record. But it is annoying, right? Because, like, you want to be able to just navigate it without dealing with it. He also then was going to give me another ticket because he was like, you need to have a license plate on the front of your Tesla. I was like, what? Like, they don't even send us two. He's like, you have to, like, so I've never put a license plate on the front of my Tesla.
You have to have two license plates in New York. Not every state needs them.
Apparently on Teslas you don't, but in New Jersey you do. But I've never been pulled over because.
So then why is Tesla excluded?
I don't know.
Ask Grok if Tesla's excluded from New Jersey driving laws.
It's probably not, but like I've never been pulled over ever because I don't have. But he said it that day, and I was like, seriously, do I actually need to? But the point is, if we could have FSD that's unsupervised, it changes everything. It sends the stock to the moon because I think it changes so much of the dynamics of the ecosystem, the volume, the deliveries, but we're just not at that level yet. And until we're there, then I don't know.
FSD will be huge, and it's not for the robotaxi thing. There's too many flaws with the robotaxi thing. It's because people will truly utilize FSD and buy a Tesla over a different vehicle because of FSD.
Yeah, I know. So Lemonade said the other day they would handle all the Tesla insurance.
Perfect.
I don't think Elon didn't respond to that, but you did have one insurance company come out and said we would take all the liability, which is kind of
there you go. So then it's all good. You'll have coverage. You just gotta go to Lemonade for the car.
Well, Elon's also got to agree that Lemonade should be their provider. He has not done that yet, but there are going to be other ones, as you said.
Does Elon have to have a say in it? I mean, if Lemonade is going to allow the liability on their policy, that's not an Elon decision. All they're saying is if you get into an accident with FSD, we're going to cover the claim and the liability.
Well, if they want a like go to market partnership with Tesla,
that's different. Partnership is different.
Yeah,
that's absolutely different. You just need a insurance company to say that they will cover it. That's all you need. And if Lemonade's saying that they will cover it, great.
So what other growth vertical next year do you think Tesla has that can actually make the stock move higher? Because it's not energy, unless they like really ramp that up.
Subsidies are gone on energy too at the end of this year.
And the battery packs, I mean, they're already growing it at 100%. If they grow it at another 100%, okay, cool. But that's not like changing the dynamics of the valuation on the stock. So then it comes down to deliveries on the vehicles, which I know rates are coming down, but again, like what is the real incentive to buy a Tesla? So then the only thing that's left is FSD and Optimus. And if it's not Optimus, which again, he didn't really give us any guidance that 2026 we would see some meaningful deliveries in Optimus, then it has to be FSD. And I think that the best shot for them to have a real breakthrough next year is FSD gets very close to unsupervised or full on unsupervised. But if it's not at these, no, if Tesla was 250 today, it'd be a different story. But Tesla at 420 is more so like, all right, so there's a lot baked into this valuation at this point.
There's a lot baked in. I'm looking for the cost. Where's the, just give me one sec. So energy. I mean,
someone has a question right here. Let me just ask this question. Someone says, should I dump my Tesla that I bought at $45 since 2017 and buy Palantir, Hood, or Amazon? So I'd let the chat answer that one. I mean, look, here's my take. And I said this when Jeremy was selling his Tesla as well. His average was at $13. I would not, because at the end of the day, I think you have such a high margin of safety. I don't think Tesla's ever going back to 45. I really doubt it ever goes back into the low 200s. That I think it's a lottery ticket now, and you just hold on to it forever. So I would not sell Tesla if you were sitting at an average under 100. I mean, at that point, now I get it. People think, well, the stock might underperform, but like you're sitting on a 10x basically. So even if it goes down, it's like, all right, well, you're sitting on it. And Elon is now incentivized to take its 10 trillion. So I personally, if I had that average, I wouldn't take profits here. But I can understand thinking, hey, what if there's other opportunities that are actually growing? And that's a fair point. It's just then, you know, as much as we're talking about the lack of potential actual growth in Tesla, the potential of the stories and the story's ability to manifest in growth, even if it's not in 27 or 28, but 2030, 2035, that is more exciting than pretty much every company in the market outside of maybe NVIDIA, right? Like there's not that many other companies that have a story and a narrative that is so vast to get you, you know, those 50% growth rates again like Tesla.
I just ran the numbers real quick. Energy did over $1 billion in gross profit this quarter. So that's great. Services, 366 million gross profit. That's good. Energy is great. But once again, without these subsidies, I don't know. I think most of the business is going to come from the big battery packs for data centers. I don't think many people are going to be buying solar panels for their houses and spending 30, 40, 50 grand on a system without the subsidies.
No way. That's why Enphase has been cooked. This is a data center play now, which is exciting because the data centers have a ton of demand. So, you know, why should freaking Bloom Energy or Oklo be getting all this multiple? Why isn't that baked into Tesla? So it's just how much is it's already 1.4 trillion. Like how much is there? How much growth could you bake into the energy part of the business to help the valuation?
I don't know, because if you assume that, sorry, I had to turn my ringer on because I have some work stuff going on. But if you assume that they're not going to get a lot of data center build out except from XAI, I mean, I don't know. Right now, the majority of the revenue is still coming from automobiles. Yes, it has transitioned a little bit, but it's even more important that we see services explode, and you don't get that without FSD. It's even more important that you add another vertical. You don't get that without Optimus. So the answer to your question is, without Optimus and without FSD, there are no other verticals for them to go into.
There's
because
nothing.
You're pretty much tapped at your growth rate with energy right now.
Yeah. And again, let's assume they double the energy growth rate. Like that doesn't make a meaningful difference for the bottom line. So it's FSD or bust next year because it's not Optimus. Unless Elon really, I mean, the fact that they said the production line is starting in 2026 means there's no way it could be Optimus. They will hopefully start producing Optimus, but they will not be selling Optimus. Because first of all, well, you need to produce it before you can sell it. Second of all, the AI and the bot needs to be good enough to sell it. There is no evidence that the AI and the bot is anyone good. Every video we've seen has been a dancing video. Nothing's been anything meaningful, right? So I think Optimus is a wash for 26. I agree. Which means it's FSD or bust next year in terms of really changing the narrative on stock appreciation. And maybe, you know, I'll try FSD 14. Maybe it's closer to unsupervised than we think. But if it doesn't get to unsupervised, the incentive isn't that strong next year.
I don't know. We'll see. I think Q4 is going to be interesting. So I just wish you went about the earnings call a little bit differently.
Did you buy anything today on the dip?
Yes.
Did you even know we had a dip?
I bought more Energy Transfer.
Ooh, ET.
Yeah, ET phone home, right?
It's a nice little divvy stock. Okay, ET. There you go. All right, folks. I think that's it for us. Steve, are you going to go live later tonight?
Probably later, like 9:30 for a little bit. We'll see.
Okay, so I'm going to link Steve's channel right here on my channel. If you don't subscribe to him, you can subscribe to him here. Look, overall, it was a decent quarter. I think for everyone who said the stock likely is not going to go to the moon or not going to go to the graveyard, I mean, yeah, it's down 3-4%, whatever. It was at this level last week, so we didn't see too much change in that. Earnings call was fine. I don't think it was necessarily horrible. I just think you didn't get a ton of optimistic predictions on robots for next year. But you did get a lot of optimism around unsupervised FSD. So I think that's the thing that everyone will be waiting for going into next year. All right, there you go. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. We have officially started Big Tech earnings. And hopefully Steve and I can do a bunch more of these throughout the rest of the next couple of weeks, and we'll keep going from there. All right, that's it. Thank you, everybody.
See everybody later.
See you guys tomorrow morning. Bye, everyone.